I think we're live. Hello there, and welcome to the very first live stream of the channel. This is where the stream begins, which is going to be a bit of a celebration, but also a farewell to this old collection room as all this glorious 375 stuff gets packed up and ready to jump to Lightspeed for its next location in just a couple days. So, a little bit stressful, but hey, we're going to hang out and have some fun. So, yeah, we'll be saying goodbye to the old room, but also taking a look at the power of TVC displays in general and just everything that the vintage collection currently offers that allows us Star Wars maniacs to create these galaxies in our collection rooms. And helping me today, we have a special guest, Grand Admiral Thrawn's #1 fan and Imperial Trooper fanatic who probably pre-orders an entire Death Star's worth of plastic during each new Trooper release, Tyler from the SWTVC crew. How's it going,
Hey
man?
guys, I'm honored. I appreciate it.
Heck yeah, glad to have you here. Probably hit some key points during that intro, but if you want to tell people a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm totally insane and irresponsible army builder. Um, I'm some guy on the interwebs, and I am a SWTVC teammate, one of five guys that runs the SWTVC page on Instagram. That's our home. We do have a YouTube channel as well. We don't post on there nearly as religiously as you do here, but you know, we post it here for people's convenience usually.
For
You know, our,
sure,
our
for
live
sure.
streams and podcast episodes and whatnot.
Yeah, there's always a great time. Love the podcast. You guys get really in depth with some knowledge and just facts and just overall good time.
Thanks, man. Yeah, 90% of the knowledge is, John. It's tucked in his mustache. That's why he can never shave it.
That's the
So
thing, man. That's where all the his force powers reside. That beautiful mustache.
for
But
sure, it's like the Jedi tree,
oh yeah, that's amazing.
on
Love it,
Octo.
love it, love it. But
Just
yeah,
don't
let's
set
take
it
a
on
look.
fire, John.
Don't do that. Definitely don't do that. Looks like we have a good amount of people here in the chat, so
Yeah,
let's
got a
take a
good
look.
crowd already. Some great
Yeah, we got
names.
Howrunner Base in here, Grant's Galaxy, AFC Smoke, Nicholas H, Dean, Peak Obi-Wan, Riders Force Dad, Riley Bob. Yeah, really nice turnout. Thank you everybody for showing up and just hanging out with us. Really appreciate it. So yeah, as I mentioned, we're going to be discussing displays. Based on my background and Tyler's background, clearly we're up into like setting up worlds and nice displays in our collection room because 375 is truly the #1 scale for doing that. Lately, Hasbro has been offering more and more display options for fans by releasing a number of playsets, which are helpful, in my opinion, for attracting new fans. Typically, they're small enough where you can take one of those displays, just throw it on a shelf, and just start populating it with some action figures. And it doesn't matter if you're like a long-term collector or somebody new, it's a great place to just start and dive into this world. So definitely a great entry point, but they're also really great at encouraging engagement in the community. I personally have been noticing a lot of toy photography using these sets, and I think this is just an awesome way of spreading the word about 375 and just Star Wars collecting in general. So because of that, we're going to be taking a look at all the vintage collection play sets that have made it into the line and share our thoughts about these. So it should be a good time.
I'm excited.
Yeah. But before we dive into that, let's take some time to go over some new acquisitions and just a little Star Wars news in general. Man, it just seems like every time I get on one of these streams, whether it's like with you guys or just somebody else, there's always a dump of TVC stuff. There's a drought and then a dump. And I swear it just feels like the rains of Camino right now, where just everything is flooding on in. What have you recently gotten, man?
Yeah, my bank account's gotten pounded lately. I've gotten 7 of these,
Nice.
which is actually less than I wanted to get, believe it or not.
What were you aiming
Um,
for?
but well, so I spoke with Emily. Every once in a while, she'll entertain my presence in the DMs. Uh, but she told me that there's 8 in a solid case
Oh,
from
nice.
Pulse. I wanted to get a solid minty case and not open it and send it to, one of those grading companies and have them crack open a fresh minty case that is like the mintiest of the mint
Yeah.
and grade one of those. But unfortunately, Pulse limited me to five. So I ordered
Burn
five
foul.
from Pulse and then two from Disney, Shop Disney. So I have seven as of right now. They did after they sold out from both sources, and then they came back in stock on Pulse. And now, last I checked, like a couple hours ago or earlier today, it was sold out again.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Um, so it may come back in stock again. I'd keep an eye on it.
Hmm.
I don't know. I guess as they find stuff in their inventory warehouse, they'll put it back up or whatever. I have no idea how it works,
Yeah.
but something like that, I assume.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, keep a close eye on Pulse, and you might get lucky. I might still buy a few more sets because I'm, like I said, totally crazy.
I
Um,
mean, you're Thrawn's number one fan, dude.
some people on Instagram actually might take issue with that. They bought, the busts and the this and then that, the premium format, $500 statue, or sorry, it was like $800 or $900. I haven't bought that, but
Yeah. You'll get there.
uh, there,
I'm
there's
sure it's
some
on the
there's some
list.
competition out there.
I'm
But
sure it's on the list.
I am a stickler for paint jobs though, which is why I buy so many of some things sometimes.
Hmm.
Um, and then I got three of the Journey of Anakin Skywalker set. It's so shiny.
Nice.
Yeah.
So good.
Um, really, really great. I love it. I do have some small nitpicks with the Ahsoka slash Revenge of the Sith Anakin.
Hmm.
But I don't. It's not like I hate the figure. Obviously like I'm thrilled to have this figure.
Yeah.
I just, you know, we always push for a little bit better, right? And
Yeah.
there are some small gripes that I have with it. The biggest things for me are the hair's too light and the wrist swivels in the wrong direction. And that
Yeah.
that's the real critical flaw of the figure, to be honest.
I agree. That
Um,
was my main critique right out of the
yeah,
packaging. I'm
yeah,
really
and
curious, like, what prompts them to make that decision sometimes.
I don't know because they did it right with the Clone Wars Anakin.
Yeah,
So
which technically is an older figure because of the tooling. It's like from a little bit further back in TVC.
actually the arms do come from the
Hmm.
original like 2012 or 2013.
Yeah.
That's the only reused part from
Hmm.
that original Abomination Clone Wars
Yeah.
figure.
A trash.
Um, yeah,
The
it's
only other
terrible.
figure that I could think of, like Jedi wise, like saber user that has this hinge that's not ideal, is actually Kanan from the HasLab.
I'm trying to see. So the Vader, the Return of the Jedi Vader goes in the right direction. Yeah,
Yeah,
looks like it,
like
huh? Okay.
literally everything else is fine.
Yeah, I don't know,
It's kind of
man.
a rare move for them to give it this hinge. I don't know why they do it. I'm just really curious. I mean,
It it,
other than
it would have
that,
made more sense if his hand was like the original. I have it right here. The original Anakin had like a force choke hand, right?
yeah, yeah,
So if you wanted to be able to like hinge his wrist out like that,
totally.
I could see that, but
Yeah.
that's not how the hand is. It's just a standard like C clamp hand,
Hmm.
like Lego grip hand, if you will.
Yeah. All this is telling me that
um,
they should have put an extra accessory hand in there. Another
yeah,
one. Like you
yeah,
got space.
yeah. It's not enough for me to like hate the figure or anything. I love the figure and I'm so glad to have it. I just
Hmm. How do you
eh,
feel about the soft goods tabard on the bottom?
um I don't like it, but for what it is, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they made the material match the leather on the upper plastic part pretty well, but I don't like combinations. I like them to keep it consistent all throughout, and I have the same issue with this figure and
Mm.
with the
Hmm.
Vader figures as well. Like on the new Black Series Clone Wars Anakin, the whole blue tunic is
Is
all
soft
soft
goods. Yeah.
goods, and that's what I want. That's what I want. I want the
Mm.
whole thing to be soft. And when you look back at Vader's from years past, going back a decade plus, his whole inner tunic was all soft goods,
Yeah.
and then they
I was
switched to his.
actually, yeah,
Go
when I
ahead,
was like
sir.
kind of packing up a couple things, I saw one of those older Vaders and I was like, wow, I kind of forgot that they used to do actually the soft goods sometimes.
Yeah. Now the downside of that is that with the new torsos, they can put the pleating in the because there's like some
Hmm.
folds or pleats, like is what they're
Yeah.
called. There's
Yeah.
pleating in the you can't really accomplish that with soft goods, I don't think. So there's a trade-off, right?
There is.
Um, some people like have that detail. I like uniformity personally.
I
Um,
agree. I do appreciate,
and maximum soft goods,
yeah,
but
I appreciate soft goods because it does really help with the articulation. And I prefer to pose these the best that we can possibly do. But I do think it wouldn't be a bad idea to put this Anakin back out there again with the plastic version, just because it does display kind of nice with that like consistency.
yeah. And you know, when you look at this one from like 2013 or whenever this came, I mean, this is
Yep.
plenty bendy. This
Yeah,
doesn't
it's not bad.
restrict it doesn't restrict movement at all.
Hmm.
So to answer your question though, Hal Runner, I think what we will see with the should they ever put out a Revenge of the Sith version of his Jedi Knight look, I think we'll see the exact same figure, just without Sith eyes.
Yeah. Do you think we'll get the
I,
cloak or the robe?
maybe. I hope so. They'd be pretty cheap not to, since it's literally a repack with less paint.
Yeah.
Uh, the chances of getting a different hand that hinges in the right direction is extremely low.
Yeah. I don't see them.
Like vanishingly small chance of
Yeah.
that.
It's kind of a bummer.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um,
You can use that Clone Wars
but
Anakin. It just doesn't have the same detail on the like top of the glove. But if you do need to like, I don't know, have it displayed a certain way in your collection or take a photo of it, you can just pop that on in.
yeah, and that's what I do because like in my pictures the other day, it's hidden by the robe. So oops,
Yeah.
looks terrible. You can't see that it's completely the wrong hand from a different figure.
Yeah.
So
Right
whatever.
on.
I borrowed the Clone Wars Anakin's hand.
Yeah. I was gonna do that too.
It's not the same glove. It's not a one for one switch, but it close enough. Whatever.
Yeah. 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 You get anything else recently?
I got the cases, the Balin and Shinwave and Obi-Wan and Yord and 501st.
Yeah. Yeah. I pretty much have gotten pretty much everything that you have recently. I had another one of these trickle on in. Nice.
So
Balin
nothing
is,
to
is
see.
such a good figure. He is definitely runner up, I think, for a figure of the year spot.
Just looking at the different sort of blues, in case
Yeah.
anybody's curious. I have a guy, I think his name is Conrad Pad
Hmm.
on Instagram. He
Yeah, he's a great dude.
sent me some stuff. He is a great dude. He sent me some stuff on how to like make this not shiny by adding some varnish. I gotta like watch the video in detail. I don't have time to
Yeah.
paint anything right now, but eventually, hopefully I will be able to make at least the front row look
Yeah.
more uniform.
I was
But yeah,
planning on doing that, spraying them with some like matte varnish, just tape off everything that I don't need,
people
spray
did
it.
that with the A New Hope Vader too, with the shiny shoulders.
Yep, I did that
But
too.
but yeah, Balin is phenomenal.
Yes.
Absolutely outstanding figure. And
Another
so is Shin, except for the head. I think the head's kind of a mess on Shin, but
yeah,
which is unfortunate.
the portrait isn't the worst. I just think the hair is just it's a little lacking. It's a little
Yeah.
lackluster.
Yeah.
But yeah. I did get this recently. I'm not a huge helmet collector, but
But it's the 501st. Come on.
it's the 501st, and I had to scratch that Revenge of the Sith like itch, so I had to get that. It also came with this pretty sick coin. which is pretty heavy. I was surprised how like you could really throw this at someone and take them out.
Ninja style.
Yeah, order 66 of them with that coin.
The only Black Series helmet I have, role playing helmet I have, is the Mandalorians. And I also have the Dark Saber, but they were both gifts.
Yeah,
So I don't want to start down another dark path, so to speak. I
I
I,
hear you.
I collect too many things already. So
I hear you. It's the
Hot
only
Toys, Hot Toys has been stealing a lot of my money lately, frankly. But
it's a path I can't go down.
I I would not recommend it. It's
Yeah, no.
dangerous.
I only have 3 helmets. I have the Mando one, I have this one, and I have the Death Watch one. Just because
Very
that Death
cool.
Watch one was pretty awesome. I mean, that
Yeah,
scene,
yeah, yeah.
that flashback scene's pretty sick. But yeah, acquisitions great. Andor. How'd you feel about Andor?
Um, I mean, the IMDb ratings speak for themselves, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's a freaking phenomenal.
yeah,
I think the season started off a little slow.
it did. I
Watching
can't
the
lie, I
Rebel.
fell asleep during the first episode a little bit, and then midway of the season, I definitely picked up. I think like the first 2 episodes were a little slow.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not saying it was bad. It was
No,
slow,
yeah, it's
and
slow.
the Rebel infighting I felt was a little bit drawn out.
I thought so too.
Um, I thought it was weird that like he stole the TIE Avenger and
Hmm.
then we never saw it again.
It was it. It was like a
Like
tease.
like I thought that they were gonna like use that later in some way, but I guess
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it was cool. It was very cool.
yeah,
But I think the second half of the season, episodes 6 through 12, were really when it started to get really, really good.
I agree. The last like 3
Um,
seasons were just, or 3 episodes were just like, okay, we're picking up. We're
yeah,
going to Rogue One.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was
yeah.
cool. Definitely the whole time I was watching, I was like, man, we only have like a sprinkling of these figures from
Oh,
the
I
first
know
season.
that the representation for Andor really sucks in
Yeah.
TVC, and like,
I was annoyed. I've gone to a Target and seen like that Cassian TIE Avenger figure, and I'm just like, okay,
and it's
well,
so
what's he gonna
pointless
fly?
because exactly the
What's he
Black
gonna
Series
fly?
is never gonna have a TIE Avenger.
No.
In no universe will that scale ever have a TIE Avenger ever.
Even if it was
So
popular enough to do well, I don't think it would be a financially good move for them.
no,
No.
no. Now
Whereas
they
if
could
you did it in
definitely do it in
TVC,
TVC.
exactly. And even if for some reason you hated Andor, you would probably buy that thing because it's a TIE fighter and it looks
100%.
cool.
I want all the variants. I want a TIE Defender too. I want
Yeah.
give them all to me.
Yeah, come on, Hasbro. What are you
Um,
doing? There's a lot of
yeah.
trooper stuff they could have been doing for Andor. So watching the show is
And
definitely
and
kind of
this
like, eh,
this is what kills me is like people are like, "Oh, Andor's not toy." Like, what are you talking about, bro? There's so many like riot troopers
yeah,
and the different speeders that they have.
for
Again,
sure.
the TIE Avenger,
For sure.
the Coruscant like Senate security, the blue officers,
Hmm.
the ISB tactical agents with their armor, like use the Imperial officer sculpt to put out a bunch of those ISB officers, Partagaz, Yularen, you know, all those dudes, Hirt, Lonnie, right? Like
Yep,
there's so much a lot of the tooling already exists too. Like
it
the
does.
the Black Riot Troopers, a lot of that tooling already exists.
Hmm. And while like
Use it.
some of that like lower leg tooling is not like the best because it's getting a little dated, it's still like
Uh,
it's an easy
yeah,
layup. Give us
it's
a couple of those figures.
low hanging fruit. It really
And
is.
like, sure, I get some people like saying it's like not toyetic. Sure. I don't need a figure of somebody eating cereal. I get that. But there are a
Sure.
ton of troopers that could be put out,
Yeah.
get into our collection.
Yes.
Everyone's always
And,
gonna buy
and
Imperial
and that's
stuff.
and that's the thing is that like it's like do you forget about all those action sequences and all the troopers and all you're getting out of this show is Cyril with his mom eating cereal? Like Come on, man. There's a little bit more to that show than that. Like,
No, dude,
were you
it's a
paying
cereal
attention?
commercial. Don't you get it?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a spectacular show. Really, really well written.
Hmm.
Um, well, I've said this a few times. I think what Andor is it's like the detail you get in a book put
Hmm.
onto screen, put
Yeah,
into live action. I mean,
yeah,
the character analysis and development and the world building, like you get that in a book,
yeah,
but this puts it on screen. And
yeah.
so you see the characters' motivations, and like you've seen Denise, what's her name? Denise Go? Is that how
Hmm.
you pronounce it? I just saw a clip of her today. She was talking about how she delved into like um the psychology of psychopaths, and like how she infused that into her character, like
Yeah, yeah,
and how she like really believes that she's like a good guy and doing the right thing, and like so does Cyril for the longest time until people start getting massacred around him, and then he's having this like shell shocked moment where he's looking around like what is going on? Right,
no, for sure.
uh
I also
like
thought it was
that's
cool
an
to
amazing
see,
moment.
um, like just Imperial officers on a different take and like a little bit more behind that. That was
Yeah.
cool. Also, somebody pointed out they were like, she really got the short end of the stick when it comes to like being a high ranking Imperial, kind of like Rampart. Rampart got screwed over too in the end, just for
Yeah,
doing,
Rampart got thrown right under the bus.
yeah,
Palpatine, and he was such
yeah,
a diehard too.
yeah,
And
both of them.
so was Dedra, right?
But I thought it was,
She was a diehard. And at the end of the
absolutely,
day, she ended up in a prison. And
yep,
like, what
never
a
to be seen
cruel
again.
irony, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, man. So I thought it was kind of cool because like we've seen that with Rampart in animated, and now we've seen it with somebody in live action. So it's kind of cool. They're
Yep.
like checking off some boxes and like giving us different perspectives from some of those worlds.
And
Yeah,
and look at Krennic too. I mean,
yeah,
Krennic was perhaps the ultimate irony, right? This
hmm,
guy spent his entire career building the Death Star, and then in his final moments, he looks up at the sky at this thing, and the super laser blasts him right in the face,
yeah,
literally right in the face.
like right on
Like,
target. Stay
his
on
own
target, dude.
creation shoots him right in the face.
Yeah,
Like, ultimate irony. Ah.
absolutely.
Brilliant writing. Just Tony Gilroy is so freaking good, man. So
Yeah.
good.
So yeah, I liked it. I was happy with how it ended, and yeah, it was good. I know you haven't seen Tales of the Underworld, so I guess we won't
I'm
dive into that too
sorry. I'm
much.
sorry,
He is
guys. I'm
fired,
sorry.
guys. You guys can all just
Uh,
kick him out. He's fired.
I've been so busy.
Highly recommend watching it. I really had a good time. I've rewatched it twice since. It's good.
I'm loving these
I'm,
comments down here talking about Krennic and being a diva and spiders.
he was. He was.
As it turns out.
That too.
So many great moments.
I wasn't expecting this for him to like just off himself.
Oh
I thought,
man, how he was listening to Nemec's manifesto,
yeah,
and he pulls the blaster out and puts it on the table, and you're like, oh man, I know where this is going,
yeah. That was dark, but I was not expecting that because we've seen them like
until
kill
he
themselves.
yeah. The scene I was thinking of was in The Mandalorian season 2 when they're on the Gazanti,
Yep.
and the guy bites down on that like electric cyanide thing. I don't know
Yeah.
how to describe it, but you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
That's pretty much what it
That's
is.
what I expected Partagaz to do. I expected him to like bzz himself,
Yeah.
but he shot himself instead. But
Maybe it wasn't
he-
in the budget to get that like effect
eh,
in.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But man, what a again the cruel irony, right?
Yeah, I
But
totally forgot about that, but yeah, that was dark. That was dark,
mhm.
man. But yeah, we won't touch much on Tales of the Underworld since you haven't seen it, but go watch it, man. The Cad Bane story is pretty awesome.
I do. I know. I'm sorry. I will
And
ASAP.
also
ASAP
more Asajj Ventress. Who wouldn't want to see that?
for sure.
But yeah, last thing I want to touch on is the pre-order from the May the 4th. I didn't really do like a reaction video to any of that, but
What's
I have a
their
reaction
reaction?
now.
Nobody got anything. So what's their react to?
Dude,
I don't know.
so
A small sliver of their community got their pre-orders in, I guess.
like a
But
fraction of like a
not
decimal. Like
me.
how insane. Like I'm a Pulse Premium member. I was there,
Yeah, me
could
too.
not check out. Everything was gone in a matter of moments. And I
Less
was
than
ready
20
to,
minutes.
yeah. And I was
Speaking
there
of
within the first couple seconds. And for
that,
some reason it wouldn't let me check out. And basically I was talking to somebody else like in a DM and they were like, "Oh, try a different card that just worked for me." And as soon as I did that, it was starting to register and then it was like, "Nope, we can't. You're done. Everything's out of stock."
see, for me, I happened to be at a grocery store, and my service was
Oof.
like one or two bars. I'm like, I'm gonna zip home and get on my home Wi-Fi and order it then. I'm like,
Yeah,
this will be fine. It's not gonna sell out like
I
in
know.
20 minutes.
One would think.
That would be crazy, right?
Like, what are you trying to do, Hasbro? Who do you think you are? Target?
Well, yeah, it was
Pretty
it was a
frustrating
disaster. Yeah,
because I feel like
I'm sure.
you
No,
wanted to
sorry, go
spend
ahead.
some money. I wanted to spend like the Trooper pack. I was willing to buy a couple of those. Like, I'll
I
take
was
some of
gonna
those
order
sand troopers.
five. I wanted
Yeah,
five of them. Yeah,
yeah. So
zero.
kind of stepping on their foot here with this, and then it's been like radio silence since.
Well, I know that I don't think that that's all I don't think they put up all the inventory that they have
I
yet.
don't think so either.
And I think they've been waiting to see how this whole tariff thing goes, and they don't want to lose money and
Yeah,
eat that. And they also don't want to have to change the cost on customers because that's a bad look, right? So
that too. It's been a lot of uncertainty.
so I think it'll come back up. It might be more expensive when it comes back up.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems
But
like a lot of other things across like Amazon and other places, like the price went up for a second and now it's like back down. So it sounds like,
yeah.
still like was rocky waters for a second, but I don't know. It would be nice if we could actually get some of these pre-orders in,
Yeah,
but
I mean it wasn't handled well.
no.
And I think the radio silence is because they knew that there was only going to be a limited quantity. And I mean, it's no surprise when people are excited for something and they're not able to order it that people are going to be frustrated. So I think they're just not commenting because they knew full well that people were going to be upset. Like how I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of people with a lot of emotions right now, so but hopefully they can just like kind of fix that up, get some stock back out there and put another pre-order
Yeah.
out there for us. But uh moving on, let's get to the real reason why we're here. Displays and actually having a good time with your collection. So you have quite an impressive display, in my opinion. It was one of my favorites to look at when I first got into social media. Like your vehicle presentation and like faction organization is absolutely awesome. And you continue to refine that with like some large world building dioramas. Can you kind of share what got you into collecting and displaying figures in this manner?
Well, when we were looking for houses, I wanted a Star Wars room, and my collection has grown exponentially in the 6 or 7, yeah, about 6 years I've lived here.
As
um,
it does.
yeah, as collections tend to go, right? But I knew I wanted to organize it some way, and I guess what I decided to do was sort of organize it mostly into the four primary factions from the original six movies. The Empire, the Rebellion, uh, the Republic, and the Confederacy.
Mhm.
My Confederacy collection is pathetic, but you know, I
I mean,
I'll keep working on it, guys. It's pretty sad, but
they have problems
uh,
standing, so.
yeah, true, true. Maybe once they put out some better droids, I'll start investing in that. But
For sure.
and then I sort of built out a fifth faction, which is Mandalorians, because they've just given us so many Mandalorians. So I
True
have
that.
like, I don't show that corner very often, but there's an area in my room where I've got the two different slave ones and also the Razor Crest and the N1 and the Blurg and the Cantina and all that stuff. That's all in the corner over there.
Hmm.
Um, and then I have little areas where there's certain scenes, like I've got Jabba's, throne room, not Boba's, Jabba's, um, and some other things here and there. I have a little Sith area as well.
Yeah,
Um,
your Sith display is actually one of my favorites. That piece is pretty awesome. That Sith throne.
that's not even what I was
Absolutely.
talking about, but yeah, that I do love that piece. It was a custom I found on Etsy years ago.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Right, that's your like Sith trooper display.
yeah, yeah, I'm one of the only people on planet Earth that bothered to army build those things. Um,
I mean,
I don't
the
know.
red color's cool. It's just not a great figure either. Like, especially
Yeah,
now when you look at it compared to like the stormtroopers and stuff, it's just like it could be better.
I love the design of the Sith troopers. The jet troopers I love. I don't love them quite as much. I think the helmet's really weird looking, but
I agree.
I did want to basically have that balance in my display to make it look even. So I did buy a platoon of those as well.
Yeah,
Um, Still waiting on that Palpatine to stick in that chair, so I'm using the Return of the Jedi version. Close enough, I guess, but
close enough for now, I guess. Yeah, holding on to that. Got John up in here. What's up, John Miko?
John Miko, the legendary Johnny Pallets.
Johnny pallets. Does he have a pallet of Sith troopers?
I don't think he bothered to buy them, and I wouldn't blame him either.
I hear that. I only have like two. But yeah, then we have some of your world building setups, which this thing I absolutely love. Also,
I'm proud of this thing, I really am, but oh my God, it's taken so much time. So this
yeah, I
is
was curious.
hole in the grounds, Star Destroyer bridge diorama, the full thing. Because you can order only half, but gotta have the full thing, gotta have
Gotta
both
have the
sides of
full
the
thing.
crew pit, right? So it's very expensive to buy the full bridge
Yeah,
diorama, and
I've
it's a
looked at it.
time-consuming project. I'm not particularly skilled at painting or sanding or gluing or applying decals or any of that stuff, but I
Hmm.
had to figure it out. And the final product has been worth it. Um, Especially because, even though I have this set up as sort of the chimera, right? It doesn't have to be. I could take I could take Thrawn out of this and put Vader on it, and now it's the executor, right? You have
Yeah,
to rearrange the consoles so that they face the center catwalk, because the executor is the executor or executor, I never know. Either way,
I always thought it was
whatever it
like,
is, you always called it the executor. All right, we'll call it
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Whatever. Either way, the
super
consoles
smart.
face inwards on his Star Destroyer, so they do have a different orientation.
Oh dang, I
Uh,
never paid attention to that.
yeah, if
Big
you
fan.
watch the scene where he is pissed off and sort of in his thoughts about how the Falcon jumped to light speed, right? He's walking
Yeah.
down the catwalk, and all of the guys in the crew pit are like looking up at him terrified, and you can see that like all of those consoles face
Oh
like
yeah,
towards
yeah.
towards him. Yeah.
Good point. I remember that now. Cool.
Yeah, so
Sick.
so you can move the consoles around and customize it that way.
That's kind
um
of nice. It's like modular, so you can have that like flexibility.
and I deliberately did not glue the consoles down so that I can move them around like that.
Gotcha. That's a smart
So
move.
yeah, yeah.
Right on. Did you tape off all of these like red and like white, black little panels over here,
Yeah,
or did you do that
so
by
he
hand?
sells he sells I think I have some spares here. He sells these like stickers.
Okay, it came with the decals.
Yeah, they're and you have to manually apply them.
Gotcha.
There we go. It's very time consuming.
Yeah, I've done that.
And you got to have a steady hand, but yeah, it's I mean it looks great in the end.
Yeah,
But
I had another
John
question for
Miko,
you.
oh go ahead, sorry.
The floor, because I know you had to put two of these together. Did you like
Yes.
sand the floor to like get rid of the seam?
Yes.
You did a good job
Yes. Thank
because I
you.
don't see it.
I believe it or not, it's not perfect.
It looks good
um,
in this photo.
Thank you. Thank you very. Yeah, I had to sand the crap out of it.
Let's zoom in and see your work. Yeah, dude, I don't see anything.
I
You did a
hit it
really
well
good
then.
job. When you sent me
Thank
this
you.
photo, I
Thank
was
you.
like, huh, I thought there was a seam in this set when you put it together. And I was curious
Yeah,
how you did that.
it's got a
Nice.
lot of coats of paint on it too. So
That'll do it. That'll do it.
yeah, yeah.
Right on. But
I wish Hasbro would put out. No, not. I'm not trying to steal your business there, hole in the ground, but I think Hasbro should absolutely put this out as like a HasLab at some point.
mhm.
Um, or maybe put it out in halves, just like Hole in the Ground did, and price it at like the Jabba's throne room price point, like
Yeah, I was
I don't
gonna
know, two
suggest something
two
like
two
that.
hundred, 250, something like that, and then you could buy two and stick them together like that. Um, but it's like a multi-generational multimedia source, diorama.
Yeah.
You can use it for the Empire, you can use it for the Clone Wars, you can
Yep.
use it for the sequel trilogy. I mean, like I said, it's a multi-generational environment. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Really
do it,
cool.
Hasbro. But
Really, really cool. I think that would be a smart thing for them to put out similar to like the throne room. I think it would be pretty popular because like you said, it appeals to a wide variety of collectors who, Clone Wars, original trilogy, like this Mandoverse even. You're like, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this would be a great
Yep,
one to get out there.
Manaverse too.
And who
Yep,
knows what's about to
Ahsoka.
happen in some of the new stuff that's gonna drop. Could be seeing Thrawn in his Chimera.
Yeah,
So
Filoni has teased that there's going to be big space battles between Akbar and Thrawn, so I think we're definitely going to see the Chimera's command bridge in Ahsoka season 2.
exactly.
I'm super excited for that. So
Yeah, same, same, man. And then this is just like, I love a good photo, and I've got to say that this is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen, man. Hands down. So
oh
incredible.
man, thank you, thank
You
you. I'm proud. This
absolutely
is
like nailed the lighting. You
I
were crazy
try.
enough to buy this many troops, that many Enochs. Like,
I
talk
still
about
have a
taking an
big pile
L.
of them.
And then just like,
This
yeah, so good.
this is my I think the phrase is magnum opus. I don't think I'll ever top this.
It's a hard one to top. I
I
don't
do
ever think
want
I could do these
to
shots.
I want to
Slayed.
redo this with like, do it Return of the Jedi style and put the shuttle back there and the Emperor and like,
Yeah,
because I do have
that'd
a
be cool.
ton of stormtroopers. At
Hmm.
some point I'll reuse this display for that. But
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. But yeah, I absolutely love what you did here. Just recreating like that whole build up to Thrawn, his first live action appearance. Like phenomenal.
I loved
Absolutely
that
phenomenal.
scene, man. It was so good.
It was. I also really like this shot. You like nailed that perspective so well.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I was proud of that one. I tried to
As somebody
match
who
it
sets
pretty
these
shot for
things up,
shot.
I can appreciate. I know you spent some time on this and like
Oh yeah.
probably second guess yourself a little bit. And you're like, I should move this like a fraction of an inch that way. Just like,
Yep.
yeah.
And I'm not a professional photographer by any means.
Well,
I
you
I
nailed it
am
here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no, I'm no Carlo, I'm no Toys of the Way, I'm no, Findor Moon. I mean, there's tons of photographers out there, even in the comments here, J guys, um, Grant's Galaxy, a lot of great
Hmm.
photographers here, which is one of the things I
Absolutely.
know you want to talk about is
Yeah.
toy photographers. But
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But yeah, man, absolutely love all that. So good. Can't get enough of that.
thank you, sir.
Um, yeah, and just like so my collection, it's a little bit of like kind of what you got going on where we have like nice vignettes of displays like set up, so like a Razor Crest and stuff like that. But also I've created this insane world that we got going on. Let me pull it up here real quick.
I love your display, dude. Especially all the lighting.
Yeah,
Oh
the
man,
lighting is
dude.
something I'm really into.
Look at that. Look at that, guys. That's so much
Yeah,
more interesting. Mine looks like a museum, which
but I
is
like
cool for
that.
some people,
I
but
like
yours like feels like little worlds and scenes.
Yeah. So
Um,
well, I wanted to have like a mix of both because like I really appreciate a clean like room, but also in my younger collecting days when like when I was like 12, me and my best friend, who I'm still friends with to this day, were like in his basement. We'd get a piece of like plywood, throw it down, throw some sand, and this is when like you had Power of the Force figures and episode 1 stuff coming out, and we would just create worlds. He was like much more into like looking online and seeing like early pioneers of making dioramas and stuff like that. So we were just trying to like mimic that. And he would show me these pictures and we're like, oh, cool. We could take some cardboard boxes and styrofoam and just try to do something with our figures. Cause I think it's just like inherently something you do as a kid and even into your adulthood if you're a collector and have these things. Cause you kind of want to take the figure that you have from this beautiful movie that we all really care about quite a bit and put it in that environment and somewhere close to you within your own home. And I think that's why TBC and just 375 collecting in general is just so powerful and like so nostalgic and very special to a lot of us. And for me, I wanted to have, not just like an Imperial setup or like a Siege of Mandalore. I also wanted to have like a world, that dirty Star Wars spaceport that I could put like
dude,
everything and anything in, It
it's
didn't have to
so
be like
good.
just original trilogy here. It could be a mix of the Clone Wars. If I have some sequel trilogy things that don't like fit or have a full display, just randomly put them around the spaceport. And that's why I always try to think like, nothing's really a peg warmer unless you're like deeming it a peg warmer in your mind. You can still take that figure and just
Make
put it
something out of
somewhere
it.
in your collection and make something out of it. Even if you absolutely hate the character for some reason, pop the head off, put a different head on it. You got a new figure for your collection, man. So that's why I've always tried to like, I don't know,
Your
do
display
here.
is so colorful and exciting and fun and like looks like I said like a lived in world. It reminds me of Empire Toy Works
Yeah.
and Utah Dawn
Yep.
and there's a few other good ones. Some of them mix like other product lines into their displays as well, which I'm cool with as
Mhm.
long as it sort of matches the theme.
Yeah,
I know Empire Toy Works does a lot of that. He'll put in like Acid Rain stuff and Joy
he does.
Toy and like whatever, but it looks great,
Yeah.
but
I think
you've
he's
got that feel here with like the custom signs and the street vendors and like the hangar bays and ah the lights, and it looks so good, dude.
thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I
It's
would
been a
cry if I had to take this down. Like I could not
uh,
even, bro.
yeah, I know.
God.
Don't worry, there's a method to this madness. I'm I'll definitely have it like categorized and like I'll be able to put it back together. And it's not the first time I've had to do it. I've had to move
Ugh,
cross country before with this stuff, and
I hate
that was worse.
moving.
Yeah.
Oh
But at
God.
least this is the last move. This is the last move ever, which is nice.
Well, that's
So
good. That's good.
but yeah, don't worry. I've been dreading taking down this Imperial display specifically. It's just this one was kind of a pain to get the walls to like two layer like that and not have a support. Like there's support beams behind it for the walls, but the light
Mm.
panels obviously don't, so the light can actually come through it.
Man, that's
So
so phenomenal, dude.
it's
Oh my gosh.
a bit finicky. But yeah, definitely this was like the main thing that I've always wanted as a kid is having like a really nice Imperial display like this and something large enough to where like I could put a bunch of these figures and vehicles and just have them in their formations and stuff. And it's
Yes,
helpful
dude.
sometimes if I wanted to take a quick photo too, like just like get up close, get the perfect like angle and just like there you go, quick shot.
Man, so good. So
Yeah,
good, man.
yeah,
And
man.
you're an army builder in your own right, I should add.
Yeah, I mean, I know you've said it before. I think I've said it before. It's like there's never been a better time to get these figures. The quality is there, and if you only wait, they're going to be more expensive down the road.
Yes.
I mean, vintage collection and just like Star Wars in general, like it holds a certain value, and that value sometimes goes up. So if you want to build an army, get it in while you can. Get it in while you can. And also,
So
it's
good.
nice when we've been seeing some actual like, upgrades. Like the clone upgrade, phenomenal and huge step forward. Huge step
Yes.
forward. I still have a bunch of those VC45 molds for the 501st and the like 332nd that got put out. I bought like 40 each of those. That was not like cheap. And then when we got the new clone, I was like, oh man, why did I
Yeah,
do
I
that?
I know, dude. I sold pretty much all my skinnies, as I call them,
Hmm.
at a little bit of a loss. I sold
Yeah.
them for like $7 to $10 a piece, $6 a piece, so when
It's
you
a
bought
true
them at
statement
like
here.
$13 a piece, you definitely took a loss on them. But at least I recouped some of my cash to help fund the new armies.
Yeah. I feel
Soon
that.
I'm gonna be selling all of these like quote unquote antenna mold guys
Yeah.
because I
I have
want
a few there.
I want all of my troopers now going forward to all be uniform on the new sculpt. So I'm getting rid of
Yeah.
I had those old Entertainment Earth 4-pack clone troopers from like 20 years ago. I'm gonna
Hmm.
sell those off if I can. If anybody's interested, all that stuff's going up on sale soon. I want
Nice.
I want uniformity in my sculpts to the maximum that I can. Um,
I hear you. And I feel like you've always been like, um, big on like upgrading your figure like collections, like having the best version of them, whereas like
yes.
I like that too. I'm all for like the best version, the best articulation, but like part of me still has some of those skinnies in the background over there just because they're like filling in space for the moment. But
Yeah, and you can do that. You can
and
you
you
can
can
do
do
that
that.
for sure.
Yeah, but
I I, and I
it's tempting to
considered
get
that.
rid of them.
Yeah, I considered keeping my BC-45 and using them sort of like for the back of the formation, but
Hmm. They just don't look as good.
they looked good at the time,
Yes,
but
not anymore.
um not anymore. Yeah.
Ship has sailed on that. Ship has
Mm-hmm.
sailed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yeah, just mix everything in here. I mean, if you take a look at this, there's so many things going on. We have like, Kanan up here with the Grand Inquisitor. And I literally had that pose from like a shot I took. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just put them up here and they'll stay here until I need them again. But like, yeah, just random stuff. I got Skeleton Crew in
The
here.
wiring and the greeblies on the wall, man,
Yeah, gotta have some
dude,
Greeblies. Thank goodness there's so
so
many
good.
people in the community who also offer some like good 3D printed stuff and Greeblies
Hmm.
like that. I made all the signs myself.
That's phenomenal because I've
Yeah.
seen stuff like that on eBay and Etsy, and also like propaganda posters, like Imperial, like
Hmm.
posters and billboards, so to speak, or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Fortunately, I have some design degrees, so I can actually figure out how to make some of this
yeah,
stuff myself,
good
which is
on you,
nice.
man. I don't have that skill, but you make it look so good. So
I got you, man. You need a sign? I got you. But yeah, I just like to just mix it all up. Just it's a giant world, it's a giant galaxy, and they all kind of just thrive together. This is another really cool
absolutely.
piece that I like here. That Rebel table. That's also from Hole in the Ground. Got to give him some more shout outs. Great person for like if you want to like spruce up your displays with some good world building stuff.
Yes, yes. You know who's really upping his display game too is John Miko right here in the comments. He wired up his Han
Yes.
Solo and Carbonite display to have
Hmm.
like lighting. Um, it looks
That
so
looked
good.
really, really good. I'm actually
We're
very
gonna
impressed
feature
with that.
that. We got Scum and Villainy coming up this Friday, so we'll
Cool.
probably feature his picture.
Nice,
So
nice. Yeah, for anyone in the chat who's not familiar with SWTVC for some reason, um, they like to feature photos from all sorts of people in the community. You have monthly themes, so if you take a post and hashtag and like try to go with that theme, you have a chance to get displayed or featured on the page. So great way to like just promote engagement with this hobby that we all love.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Yeah, man.
Each day we have a different theme. So Mondays we do either media or movie Monday where we go through each movie or each show, and we do it in like release order.
Hmm.
So we'll have and we alternate that with Mando Monday, right? Because we have a ton of
Yeah.
Mandalorian stuff now, like
Yeah.
in this picture here.
Yeah. Seriously.
um so we alternate that every other Monday. So like we'll go Phantom Menace and then Mando Monday, and then we'll go, Attack of the Clones and then Mando Monday again, and then Revenge of the Sith, right? So like we do that. Trooper Tuesday is a consistent one we do every week. Wednesdays and Thursdays are sort of for like concept stuff or wish list stuff or throwing it back and looking at older stuff.
Hmm.
And then Fridays we have what we call Faction Friday. So it'll be like an Imperial Day or a Rebel Day or Scum and Villainy Day, um, Republic Day, Separatist Day, something like that. And
Yep.
sometimes that'll carry over into the weekend as well if we have like a ton of those shots and we
Yeah.
can keep the theme going. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, man. Really appreciate everything you guys do for the community and also just like sharing everything, not just for myself, but like everybody in the community, because we're all just like fans of this plastic and this amazing universe. So it's just nice to
pe-
like, I don't know,
people
celebrate it
like
all
the
together.
guidance too. I think like
Yeah.
a lot of people really appreciate the calendar because it gives them inspiration to focus on for the month, right?
Yes.
So if
I
they
agree.
know that like, okay, in a couple weeks, Ahsoka's coming up, or
Hmm.
the Acolyte is coming up, or whatever, they can take some pictures and get it ready for when that day comes around.
Absolutely. I
And a
find
lot
it
of
helpful.
times, that's great. A lot of times, what I'll do is I'm always scrolling on my profile or the SWTVC profile, and just I'm addicted to my fucking phone. Oops, sorry, I dropped the F phone. I'm
Oh, good. Thanks,
sorry.
Barrett.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm addicted to my phone, so I'm always scrolling. And what I do is I stash pictures.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of times, like weeks or months in advance of when I know something will come up again. So let's say we passed Return of the Jedi. It's now past. It's behind us, but I know that it's going to come up again eventually in our rotation. If
Yeah.
I see a really good like Return of the Jedi picture, I'll stash it in my DMs to
Hmm.
myself, and eventually when it comes time to bring that up again, I'll feature it. And that's how you get
Nice.
pictures that are, months old featured
Yeah.
all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's
Right
that's
on.
why. So
Yeah. It's
once
always
again, sorry for swearing. I'm the worst. I'm really the
thanks,
worst.
Eric.
I'm
It's all
sorry.
good, man.
Sorry.
No, but yeah, that's awesome. And it's never ending because I feel like when it comes to collecting, like there's always something new happening, like a new release. So I feel like I'm constantly always just like opening up something or taking a photo of it. And also there's just so much like media coming out now too. So I feel like, yeah, it's always cool to keep it like, saving photos here and there because like I feel like there's just going to be so much Star Wars for quite a while.
I love your Mandalore display, dude. You went
This is definitely
so
one of my favorite.
crazy with
That was an
all
expensive
those
year.
different. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got 40 of
I
the red guys, 40 of the blue guys, 40 of this guy, and 40 of the 501st. And I'm pretty sure I got 40 of the other like live action Death Watch ones before that. So it was an expensive year.
Dude, I still want to get more of those 4 packs for more 330 seconds on the new sculpt.
Me too. Me too.
Because since they put that out twice now, I don't think we may not ever see that battalion released ever again,
I
honestly.
agree. And I also think that the
Um,
4 pack was pretty perfect in terms of the paint applications and
yes.
seeing how we're seeing some shiny pauldrons might be a better move to get
I
the
mean,
4 pack.
think about how long it took them to put out the 212th, right? They put out the
Yeah.
212th in TVC 1.0.
Yep.
And then I mean, they put out a couple like 5 POA ones that nobody cares about. They don't count. But
Yeah. No.
in terms of putting out another super articulated 212th, it took like a decade for
It
them,
did.
maybe more than a decade to put it back out again.
Hmm.
Uh, hide that comment. Put that away. um, and like the 327th. When's the last time they made the 327th, man? Like 20 years ago? It's been almost 20 years, probably.
Yeah.
It's been a
Yeah.
very long time.
It has been a while. Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite collection displays. Just like that Clone Wars,
So
like
good.
season 7 is just like top notch for me.
Yeah.
And also, it was the right time. They gave us these great like Mandalorian figures. It was just a time where like we got the Mandalorian show in general, so there was a focus towards like upgrading some of that tooling. We got that incredible Return of the Jedi Fett, and I feel like it just like started going from there. And once they did this Clone Wars
Yes.
one and the Clone Wars Mall, like there's been such huge steps forward in terms of like the figures. And like I
Yes.
know I wanted to focus a lot on like displays and stuff, but the displays are fueled by the figures. You have to have these
Yes.
citizens to populate this, and they have to look good. I want them to be
Yes.
displayed like this, not just standing there. Like I want this to look like a battle. I want to create that.
Yes. And that's
So
why 5 POA doesn't do anything for me. Like I just, I've said it a million times. I respect the original Kenner figures for starting it all. I
yeah, same,
totally respect the heritage there. But as
same.
far as buying and displaying them in this day and age,
Hmm.
why would I buy those when I can do this with these figures now and make them fly around and you know, I mean, I don't know.
I get it. I mean, I love.
I don't really get it personally, but it's nostalgic for some people. To each their own, I guess. But to go back to Steve's stream the other day where he was talking about world building, and how he sees 3.75 as the world building scale and 6 inch as the sort of the
Character
character
scale.
scale, right? Like the problem with that line of thinking though is that you need the figures to populate the worlds. You
Correct.
can't have the world building without the figures, or
Correct.
else you just have a bunch of empty, dusty Tatooine streets with no denizens in them, right? Like it
Absolutely.
doesn't work. So you gotta have the figures too. That's kind of the most important component. Um,
Yeah, it's like, even going back to like the original Kenner or whatever, you had the vehicles, you had stuff like that, but you had the figures to go with them. And the figures are like a driving force because you're going to recognize the character from the movie or the show. You definitely will recognize a ship or whatever, but it's the character that starts it.
yes,
It's a character you really
yes.
connect with. Like each one has a different personality. There's something about them that sticks out to you. And that's something that also will fuel your collecting. There's a lot of people that are really into the aliens and the denizens and stuff like that. Like John Miko's really into them. Peak Obi-Wan is also a person that does some really fantastic alien customs, like love aliens. And then there are
Again,
people who
Utah Dawn too.
and Utah Dawn, absolutely amazing when it comes to his customs and also his world building too, his own station that
Oh,
he has going
who's the other one? Rycroft Enlow or something like that. I might be saying his. He's one of
Yeah.
the contributors for Yak Face.
Yep.
Right, I think it's like Rycroft Enlow or something like. His
Yeah,
customs are phenomenal. He's
they
so
are.
good.
They are. And like each one of us
Um,
like connects with like different things. There's people in here like Jay Guys who's like huge clone person. Lots of different characters that we all really connect
yes,
with. And these are the things that are like, hey, I want a collection of aliens. I want a collection of clones. You love troopers. You're gonna want troopers. You're gonna want to fill them with these specific types of characters. So while I can like understand that they're trying to say, like the 6 inch is a character line because that's all they kind of have. They're not really a vehicle line. They can't forget that like 375 and TVC is characters too. It's not just the world
and
building.
I think one of their critical flaws too is that like they they still don't understand the differences and similarities of what the two collector lines want, right? So
Hmm.
like because we're so interested in building out scenes, if there's a character like Cassian, for example, Cassian has a bunch of different outfits for
He
all the
does.
different
Yep.
scenes that he's in, right? So like, but with Sixers, a lot of times they get like one outfit representation for a character, and they're like, "Yep, I'm good. I've got Cassian in my collection," and it's like, so when they get like the TIE pilot version or the Aldani disguise version or whatever, they're like, I already have Cassian, and I don't need this. Like, why are you giving this to me? Like, there's a
Yeah, I've noticed that.
disconnect there. They're like,
Hmm.
they don't really get the world building thing, and Hasbro also doesn't really get that. That's the way they think versus the way we think, where it's like,
Yeah.
well, my TIE pilot Cassian doesn't work on Aldani because it's a completely different scene, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Completely different
uh,
season.
yeah, different like, so, we're not mashing them all together on one display shelf. Like they display their stuff very differently than we do.
They do.
Um,
And like sometimes I feel bad because they get like being with a bag of oranges when it comes to characters, like Mando, for example. Not to say we haven't seen like 30 Dinjarans, but they got so many. I felt like one year where they got the muddy Mando, they got the icy Mando, they got muddy
yeah.
Mando carbonized or something like that.
And,
So I could
and
see
and
why
again, this goes
sometimes
back to the same thing. Like, why make Muddy Mando for Black Series when you know you're not going to make the Mudhorn?
correct. But if they made a
But you
Mudhorn, which
could,
is not a super popular creature, I sure as heck would buy it.
right,
And I feel like it'd do decent maybe in TVC. TVC was made for that.
right. And how a
Yeah.
runner is correct. I am generalizing, but I would say a lot of collections they put them in what are those, the detolfs,
Hmm.
or some other cabinet with a
Yeah.
glass door where
And
all of
there are
them are
people
on
who,
the hex stands, and they're all like, on different levels,
mhm,
all kind of put in one sort of box display where it's just all the characters from one show, right? And they only need like I said, one Cassian, one Luthen, one Mon Mothma or whatever. Um, Again, not all of them display it that way, but
absolutely.
I do see a lot of that.
And there are even some people
Um,
in that scale who try to have, diorama pieces for their collection or display with a couple of those figures. But the thing is, like, you can have that in that scale. You just can't have a lot of it because it takes up so
right,
much space.
right,
It's just not made for that. Like you might have a little wall, but you're not gonna have a hallway
right.
or two hallways put together to make like a long like Vader hallway scene of him slicing and dicing
Yeah. I mean, we saw GTP Toys attempt to do the Tantive 4 hallway diorama as an offering, and it bankrupted the company and killed
Yeah.
them as a company.
Yeah.
It's actually a very sad story because I loved that company, but
Yeah.
it
I was
just
at
goes to show you, like, it's just not really the scale meant for that sort of thing.
y yeah. I
Um,
was kinda thinking about them before we jumped on this live stream because, yeah, they attempted more 6-inch stuff. I know they had some licensing problems too,
mhm.
not just with, like, Star Wars, Disney, but I know Lego basically has, like, I guess, the patent on things clipping together, and that was part of, like, how their sets would go. So
Yep.
they couldn't do that either. I feel like, yeah, just everything was a snowball effect of they could not make it work. And then, yeah, they were trying to, sell a Tantive set in a 6-inch scale, and I just don't think enough people were either as passionate about that project or passionate about world building, and it just didn't do well. It's very
Can
sad.
you can you highlight Rogue's comment? Rogue Killer.
Sure.
Yeah, see, and this is what kills me is they'll put out a
Mhm.
character like the client
Yep.
that we have all the contextual stuff for. We have the cantina, we have the e-web cannon, we have the ITT, we have all that stuff to build around that whole climactic scene in the season one finale, right?
Mhm.
Where the client gets killed and Moff Gideon comes and all that stuff, right? But we don't have the client. They gave the client to Sixers who really didn't appreciate that character, didn't really care for him very much. He like went to clearance.
Yeah.
Um, and then when that character doesn't sell well, they're like, "Oh, well, we shouldn't make it for TVC because it didn't sell well on 6-inch." And again, it's like there's this disconnect. They don't get it at Hasbro. Like, just because it doesn't sell well in that scale doesn't have any bearing on how it's going to do in the other scale, because we collect differently, we display differently.
Yeah.
We want that scene building, and again, we have all the stuff to build around that entire scene, except like one or two critical characters. We need the client, and we need season one Grief Karga.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we probably will never get either one because they didn't sell well in Black Series. And
Yeah,
it's like we're getting punished for what happens in the other scale. It just
I know. I feel
it's a
like,
shame, man.
yeah, we'll definitely have to make some noise about that one because I won't rest easy until we get those. And we're going to talk about that a little bit when we move on to the actual TVC sets. But yeah, that was definitely a huge bummer. And I feel like maybe it's just like as time's gone on, TVC has gotten stronger. And like there's no doubt about the Mandalorian really helped revitalize a lot of collecting spirit, I feel like.
Yeah,
And just
absolutely.
like an investment into TVC in general in 375, we started to get better figures. Like the articulation was getting better. And even like I think one huge turning point I just kind of remember was when we got that Maul and Ahsoka from the Clone Wars season 7.
Yes,
Those were
yes.
good figures. The Maul
Oh
portrait,
man.
incredible. Incredible.
It's interesting. I feel like a lot of people don't mention that figure because it has been a long time. It has been probably 4 or 5 years since that figure came out, but
Yeah, it's been a while.
very underrated figure. That's a
Absolutely.
really, really good figure.
Yeah.
Um,
And I feel like only now they're doing a little bit more when it comes to like this E-Wing, for example. Great world building right there. We got the pilot and the droid, who didn't even do a whole lot in the show, to be honest. But we got the vehicle and the two characters that go with it. Now, that is
yep.
something, if it were back around the Cantina day or the Navarro Cantina day, we might have just gotten the pilot and never the droid. That was an Antok
Mhm.
Merrick problem. We had to like say multiple times in comments, verbally on Q&As, we want that droid. Don't forget about the droid. Complete this.
Yes.
We're still trying to
Yes.
complete skiff. We're trying to do this and that. And they're finally starting to understand. And I think they're doing a much better job about planning.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah, I
sucks
remember
because then we
that.
have holes from the past, which is just an ongoing problem when it comes to TVC sometimes.
hmm hmm And like we've asked for the client many years in a row now, and it just keeps on not happening. But
Yeah,
we just got to be relentless, I guess.
pretty much. Just keep letting them know that's something we want to see. But yeah, let's definitely move on to the sets themselves because these have
Cool.
also shown a nice progression in terms of like where we started with them and where we're at. Um, so let's add this. So So they really stepped their game up with quite a few world-building releases over the past years. And while technically vehicles are also a display item that you can world build around, I just wanted to take a look at all these different sets because, like I said, they're really great in my opinion. As someone who's skilled enough to build things clearly, I also like to not have to build things. I like to have one less thing on my to-do list. And once again, these spark engagement within the community, whether people are just showing you how they added this to their display or they're using it for like photography and stuff like that. It's just a really nice way to create a nice buzz in terms of collecting. And maybe it appeals to somebody who's never stepped into this world, but they were like, oh, that looks kind of fun. I want to get involved. And yeah, like this is a really good entry point, I think, towards like Star Wars collecting. And the first one that we have here is the good old Jabba's Adventure playset, which was so long ago. And it's kind of crazy to look at it because I'm like, wow, the weathering on this one was actually kind of nice. Um,
Yeah.
it doesn't offer a ton,
Right.
but it's still a nice start. And I know, like, people love Jabba's Palace. It's a place
hmm
that, like, it's always going to be a nice focal point of a collection. It's something that people really resonate with in terms of like the aliens and just like, the craziness of Jabba's palace. And they got us this set, and it was one of those, okay, this is pretty decent. At the time, like, we didn't have a Bib Fortuna. There weren't things that like were super up to date modern, but they were starting to kind of like, I don't know, shift a little bit in that direction. So, and you also had things from our previous like lines that you could display here. So it was like a kind of a pretty good attempt of starting this off again in TVC. The
Yep.
figures, there's not really much to say about them now. They were cool when you
Yeah.
got them then, but really dated.
Yes.
And then we moved on to the carbon freezing chamber set, which was kind of frustrating for people because there were so many things that we just didn't have. And also, this is when they weren't really releasing things to go with the set at the same time.
Yeah.
So we got this
Which is
set,
a critical flaw when it comes to world building.
critical flaw,
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
And they heard it. They heard it for a while. And then, they tried
Mhm.
to course correct, and eventually we did get some investment guards. We still don't have a proper Empire Strikes Back
Uh,
Boba Fett
or Ugnaught.
or Ugnaught. Like, that was also
Yeah.
like, why were you not repacking the Ugnaught? Like, it has a swivel hip thing going on, but like, it would have been smart to still have that. It's a high price thing on the secondary market. And the Ugnaught, it's supposed to be there. Like, this is Cloud
Yeah.
City, man. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, we got a trooper in there, but it's not really, they weren't thinking about like, oh, like now they think about like, oh, let's put an army builder in there because they might buy multiple sets of this. And like, sure, maybe you would open two of these because you had to get both sets to actually complete this thing. But it's just not the best like trooper. I really think they should have put an Ugnaught in there or something.
I
This
liked
also,
that card back.
yes, the card
I
back
don't
is
think I
cool.
ever opened that Stormtrooper. The helmet looked pretty darn good, but
Yeah, I didn't open it either.
um, yeah, I never opened this figure. I have, I think, two of them carded. Well, we
And
have
probably
come
for,
a long way with the oh, excuse me. Ugh, it's been a long day. I apologize.
it's all good.
Sorry, I'm not drinking coffee, I'm drinking water, so that's why.
All
They've
good.
come a long way with the environmental pieces over the years, like, the console and carbonite display. It's kind of bare bones, but I do still see it used in photography a lot when
Hmm.
people get the right lighting and the right atmosphere and the right mood. Like,
Yes.
man, some people have taken some really good pictures, especially because like the top grates allow light to come in, right?
Hmm.
So people stick some like orange lighting in there, and it looks
Yeah.
so good for just
And
just being a background. And
yep,
that's how I think these are best used, is with brilliant, talented figure photographers.
absolutely. And something that I've noticed recently is people have been using this like setup for their Heir to the Empire shots with Joris,
Yeah. Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
really cool. Also, I really do appreciate how this was their first attempt at using like translucent plastic for those light panels. It was
Yes.
we had never seen anything really like that before. GTP obviously was doing it with their Spaceballs, but this was kind of
Yeah.
cool. And I think it took them a while to go back to that.
Yeah.
To like that little feature. But yeah, this was a cool set. It's definitely one that's awkward too because it's so long of a display. I
Yeah.
don't have both of those like catwalk things displayed at all. The main circular part is how I have it displayed right now.
Hmm.
It's just so big. But
Yeah.
another one where we're like also they're showing it off with like not with like figures from the past. So like while it's exciting to take stuff from the past and like put it on there, it's also not really, I don't know, sparking anything like exciting and newness in terms of like, wow, we're getting a brand new Fett to put on this thing too. It's just kind of scratching the itch of like, okay, now I
Yes.
can complete this scene.
And I feel like they kind of did it backwards, right? So like they put out the
Hmm.
set, and they've got to take promotional photography to put on the packaging, right? So
Yes.
all of the promotional photography is going to have these old, obsolete junk figures, right?
Hmm.
And then they did the, new Lobot and the new Lando and the new
Yep.
Bespin Leia and like all this stuff, right? The new Vader, the new
Hmm.
Stormtroopers, the new Bespin guards, like almost everything in that picture as a newer, better version now, but
Yeah.
after the fact. fact, right? I
after
feel
the
like
fact.
the way they should have done it was do all those figures and then do the play set,
Hmm.
right? And that way you have nice new figures on the packaging that don't look
Exactly.
old and terrible. I mean,
Or at
it's
least,
it's water under the bridge now. There's it's old history now, but
yeah, they've learned. They've learned. Because
right,
now
right,
if they were to do this today, they would show the set, but also potentially pipeline a couple characters that are coming down the road. Like you're going
right.
to get a new Bespin Guard and a new ESB Boba Fett. So then for people are excited, they're like, okay, I kind of want to get this set because I know I'm going to have a nice new figure to display on it too.
Yep.
So yeah, it really shows like these first couple sets, like how they really like kind of figured it out like along the road. This
This
is
was
where
the
I
one
think,
where they really
yes,
hit their stride.
absolutely. This to this day, I think is the perfect formula for what they're doing. Just the quality of this set, those doors were quite impressive when I opened this thing. They were like, made of that hard plastic, engineered with that sliding door mechanism. Just the modular appeal of this set that you could do two sets together to make a long hallway, add that corresponding like intersecting hallway, adding those lines of sight, like really, really great stuff here. Absolutely love this one.
Yes. And I think they do these best when it's sort of a generic looking hallway where you can buy more than one.
Mm-hmm.
You're incentivized to buy
Mm-hmm.
more than one to keep building out the display, right? Because it's
Yeah.
good for Hasbro. Like I said, it incentivizes multiple purchases.
Yep.
Um, you can build out that Tantive hallway into multiple, different hallways and corners and intersections, right? They sort of did the same thing with the Moff Gideon light cruiser hallway.
Correct.
Um, and people use these for the backgrounds on a lot of different
Yep.
photography. Again,
And yep. That was something I was going to mention is like with these sets, a lot of people use them not just for toy photography, but if say they got a figure early and they want to share a picture online, they use it as kind of like a backdrop or like even
yep,
customs or just like a post that they want to do to elaborate on something they're thinking about with a certain figure. So that's something that I also think is really special when it comes to these sets. It's allowing
yes,
everybody to kind of have a background, a platform to kind of spark their conversation about collecting. And
yep,
yeah,
absolutely.
this is definitely the formula where they hit something special with this one. Um, I do agree that it is insane that we don't have a single rebel trooper with non-swivel hips.
Yeah, travesty.
And with this one, I bought I think 8 of these sets. Um,
I bought a number of them as well.
and that's a lot
I just
of a rebel trooper, which is before they got into the army building packs and the different portraits. Because I had a bunch
yes.
of these guys and they all look the same.
And
Um,
again, that's the incentivizing multiple purchases thing that we're talking
mhm,
about, right? So like, with this they included the Rebel Fleet Trooper, which was kind of historically kind of difficult to army build, right? So
mhm,
the more of these hallways you bought, the bigger your army got. And then they put out the Trooper Pack too, which was great. But
they did.
um, you know, with the Gideon's light cruiser hallway, they did the Mandalorian Privateer, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
not the best trooper inclusion in my opinion.
Totally. They wanted to keep it, I think, current with like the Mando media that was happening at the time. But I still think they could have just put a stormtrooper on some kind of random card, like a Mandalorian card back from like the Gazanti Cruiser or something like that, and it would have done just as well.
I think they should have put that Dark Trooper single carded release in there. That's what I think they should have done.
That would have been cool too. That would have been cool too.
That would have been the perfect thing to pack in. As
Something
long
else
as
I want to point
it
out.
had the open hand and not the fist,
Oh
because that
god,
was a
yeah,
big miss. But
yeah, we won't try to stir up that trauma. Something else I kind of vaguely remember back when they released this set is I think this was happening around the same time that GTP was doing their set. Not maybe around the exact same time, but I think it was
Oh, I
relatively
can't
close to each
remember.
other.
Maybe.
I kind of recall. Which is interesting because theirs had lights and was like super, kind of like a Superman version or whatever. But obviously, it
Mhm.
just didn't do well, and I don't even think that crowdfund was able to like pull through. So
No.
clearly, everybody in our community was excited, jazzed about this, bought multiples of them. I think this was a very successful set for Hasbro. And then we go on to the Navarro Cantina, which was pretty cool. I kind of remember this stream. I thought it was a very positive fan stream for the vintage collection. I just remember being like, "Oh man, that's incredible. We're getting a set like that." I'm pretty sure we got like some ARC troopers or something also like announced, and I was pretty excited about this
Yeah.
until like we started all analyzing it a little bit more. And the main thing that was not cool for everyone was that cardboard door. When
Yep.
we started to realize that that door had very little to no actual detail because it was a print.
Yep.
I think that combined with this one was the first step with a lack of weathering. If you noticed on like the Jabba set way back when they first kind of kicked these sets off, that one had decent weathering. I think it's still
Yep.
not as weathered in like real life as it is in that promo shot, but this thing was just pretty much plain plastic. I bought a couple of these because they eventually did go on clearance, and I love the accessories that it comes with, all the bottles and stuff. And I definitely weathered a
Yep.
few of them just to add it to my world and also
I
just
I
make it
love
better.
the accessories in this, especially those tiny little shot glasses. So
They're
great.
so cool. They're so
They're
cool.
so
Also, just the
great.
bar and the stools. It's actually an impressive set. It's got some really cool stuff about it. They just hit some shortcuts here that made it not cool. So, like the
Yeah.
door being cardboard, the swap, like the reversible window right there. So you
Yeah.
can like, let's see,
It
there's
didn't work
yeah.
for me.
So you can do like the battle damage version of it. It just doesn't work. Like I'm
I do
sure they
like
could have made that.
the shattered glasses they included, for like
Hmm.
gunfights
Yeah,
in the so incredible.
yeah, super cool. It
But
was it was a great idea. It just wasn't fully executed well. It wasn't A plus. It was kind of a B minus. But yeah, another good one to add. They were starting to build out more of this Mandalorian world, which is cool. We had IG, we had the Incinerator Trooper. They put the Death Trooper in here as a pack in. But like we were talking before, where is the client?
mhm.
Where is Grief? And that is something that is going to pain us for a while. I feel like with this set, not only was it not like perfect, but we didn't even have the complete crew to like complete the scene.
We're not gonna stop asking for them, Hasbro. So you might
No,
as well just give us what we want.
it's like yeah, for the love of the force, just get us the client and Grief
I
Karga.
don't I don't
Shout out to
care how
Carl, man.
it's I don't care how it sold or how it didn't sell in Black Series. That has no bearing on Vintage
Mhm.
Collection at all. It should not. It just should not.
And I've seen people do wish lists and like analyze the tooling and make customs. Like that Grief Karga, I'm pretty sure uses the same tooling on the lower body. He just needs a new upper,
Yep.
like torso, and that new soft goods or the plastic coat. So he's not a hard one to get out there. The client might take a little bit more tooling, but don't do this to us. Finish this scene.
Yep.
But yeah, then the Endor bunker, which was kind of a surprising one. I wasn't expecting this, and I feel
No,
like
me
I
either.
wasn't super excited about it at first, but once I actually got it into the collection and compared it to like what we had before, it is a bigger improvement. But there are a couple flaws with it again. So like the weathering is it's not all there, but it's still actually better than the Power of the Force 2-1.
Oh yeah.
Um it's got that nice little moss effect at the bottom. It just needed to be like hyped up a little bit more. And I'm still happy like they put a lot into this engineering of it, like the doors working and all that stuff. Absolutely phenomenal. Love that. I was able to weather up one of these really nice because you had to buy two to get, a carded and open figure.
Yep.
So I took that leap to like, really weather one of these up nicely. I think my main gripe with this thing was the like fake moss that they put on the like top right there on the like roof because it's like it's like glued and
Yeah.
sculpted on. So if you were to remove it, there would be a little cavity right there, which I thought
Yes.
was, that's not great. Because say I wanted to remove that and put a more realistic textured like foliage to kind of like really
Or if
recreate that.
you wanted to use this as like the entrance to some imperial snow base
Correct.
somewhere. Well, now
Scare it
you've
or like
got
something like that.
now you're limited to one environment. Yeah,
Correct.
I
And I know this
agree.
is specifically an Endor bunker, but yeah, that was just something that kind of bugged me with it. And it also is like, I guess some people were like, why don't we have an interior to this thing? It's just the exterior. And like, sure, maybe that would have been cool, but I've seen some people put the light cruiser hallway attached to this, and that's actually really nice and impressive that you can get
Yeah,
creative with it
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Which again just shows the flexibility and creativity of 375 collecting, where we can put all these things together and like mix and match. But yeah,
Yes, 100%.
it was cool. It was nice to get something for that Return of the Jedi like beat as well. Scout Trooper obviously wasn't perfect. He got some rocker ankles, but they're slowly getting there with that Scout Trooper. Slowly but
Getting there.
surely.
Yep.
So let me move on
We
to.
got rid of the old diaper crotch, and we're
Oh
finally have
man,
some nice barbell hips.
seriously. But yeah, then we moved on to this, which is this is where I kind of think they started to really take the photography part of like 375 a bit more seriously. Because like the
Hmm.
promo photos for this thing were actually really cool and impressive. They like kind of
Yes.
really showed this as recreating scenes and like diving into that world of that end of Mandalorian season 2 and like what could be the potentially upcoming Book of Boba Fett. So I thought that was really cool. It also is kind of impressive because it's like people for ages have always wanted, a Jabba's palace display.
Yes.
Obviously, this is quote unquote Boba Fett's throne room, but we all know it's Jabba's palace. Um, that was something that I was always planning on building for my collection. I was like, all right, one day I want to build one of these. Kind of annoying because you got an arch there. Arches aren't the easiest thing in the world to build, people.
No.
Um,
No.
so when they provide things like this, I'm excited because I'm like, heck yeah, I don't have to make that. And this just looks great. It has all the detail and like stuff that I'm not going to be able to do. And even like a 3D printer is really not going to be able to do. I know, some people were like, oh, it could be cheaper. You can 3D print this. You're not getting that same level of detail. Like 3D
No.
printers, unless you're resin printing this thing, it's going to have filament lines. And it's just, you're going to have to sand it up. You're going to have to paint it. It's not easy. Let me just say that.
It's definitely not.
No. So I thought this was a really, really nice step. It's also a larger playset, which they
Yes.
haven't done too many of. This is the largest one, I think, to date, other than like, the HasLab Cantina that's coming, but that's not anything mainline. And this was the first time they did that Pulse exclusive large item, which I kind of wouldn't mind them going back to do a couple more of those. We haven't seen one
Can
since this.
can you highlight AFC Smokes
Yeah.
comment? Yeah, I totally agree.
Hmm.
And that's pretty much exactly what you're saying. And I've
Yep.
said this myself is like I want them to continue putting out offerings like this, sort of in the same vein at around this price point, like the 200 to 250. So not quite like a full-blown HasLab, but a
Yep.
bigger environmental piece. I think they could probably do like the Emperor's throne room at that
I
price
was just
point
going to say that. That would have
from
been a
Return of the Jedi.
brilliant thing to
That
do
would
back
have,
then.
yes, dude. Yes. Another one could be like the Jedi Temple, or the council chamber room, right, with all the chairs in it in the circle.
Ooh, that would be
Um,
really cool for
or
potential
or
upcoming prequel trilogy.
Palpatine's office space where the duel happens, and Vader gets knighted as Darth Vader, right? Like, I think all of
That'd be cool.
those stuff like that, I think would fit at around that price point, and I think that they should continue to pursue
Mhm.
stuff at that price point where it's like not quite a HasLab, but they can do more than like with a 50 or $60 very small set.
I agree. Also, this is a good point. I remember this was another one of those Camino rains where everything TVC just falls from the sky and bombards your bank account.
Yes,
It
they
was
really got to
it was
work on the
challenging.
timing with stuff because
Hmm.
man, they really shoot themselves in the foot sometimes with making stuff.
Hmm.
And the problem is people, when they don't have unlimited funds, they have to pick and choose, which means they end
Correct.
up canceling this or canceling that, and you know,
The nice thing about
Hasbro loses, right?
Indeed, but the nice thing
And the
about
collectors
this
lose
set,
too.
yeah, but the nice thing about this set is unlike a HasLab where say you can't financially make that work and you have to cancel it and there's a potential you'll never get that item because it's exclusive to HasLab. This Pulse exclusive doesn't have that same type of like firewall put up. They could
Right.
potentially always do another run of this in like 5 years or something like that, or
That's
hopefully not
true.
that far, but this could become available again. And it did actually get a couple more back in stock, if I do recall.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
So that's always kind of nice with this like uh, method of getting these items out. And it
Got a
looks like
couple
they're
other
doing.
great ideas. Hoth Command Center, Yavin Command Center. Yeah, I totally agree.
Mhm.
The Echo Base, all the consoles, that room there with Torin Far and oh, what's that general's name? General Rikan or Riken, something like
Yeah,
that.
Riken. Yep.
Riken.
Hoth
Yeah,
trenches and Echo
this.
base definitely would be cool.
Yep. I
Yeah.
do want to see them delve into more prequel stuff though too. I don't want Hasbro to think, oh well, we can only make stuff from the OT. Like, no, no,
Hmm.
no. I want you to make like the Camino hallways
Yeah.
in the same way that they did the Tana V4 hallways.
Yep.
Make like Camino hallways. You know how many
Hmm.
Battlefront enthusiasts, clone enthusiasts would buy Camino hallways? Many of them.
Yeah,
Many of them.
for sure.
Um, do like Venator hallways, which are very
Yep.
similar to like Death Star walls anyway.
Pretty much.
They kind of look exactly the same. Like
They're pretty much the
people
same.
would buy the crap out of those.
Absolutely.
Um, so I don't want Hasbro to think that that sort of set can only work with OT offerings. It's not
I agree.
true. You know, try
Expand.
something else sometimes too. Yeah.
I actually love the idea of doing the council. That's actually a pretty good one. You could get
Yeah, and
all.
people want those Jedi Masters updated too,
They do.
So
They do.
I saw someone comment on Bantha Skull the other day that I always pronounce his name wrong, so please help me out here. But is it Saise Teen or how do you say his name?
Call John Miko
Some
immediately. Get him on the
I don't
phone.
know. The dude with the horns. I can't say his name, guys. I'm sorry. However it is, someone was like, "Oh, I think
I
this
meant
guy's good. He
Johnny
doesn't need to be
Mustache.
updated." And I was like, "No, you're totally wrong. I want I want a new one."
And
Um,
they're slowly starting to update some of those Jedi. So I think we'll get there. But yeah, I think that would be a pretty cool set. Um, Moving on, I'm just showing this Jabba one because it's actually labeled as a playset, but this is just really part B to that Boba's throne room.
yes,
Like you just got the
yes,
diets and like you know a no arm or a no elbow situation droid. So I thought it was kind of
yes.
funny they labeled this one as a playset because it's definitely not.
AC10. Okay, so that's how you say it.
It's AC-10.
It's AC10.
But yeah,
I don't know.
moving
Whatever, guys. Anyway.
fake fan. Um, Moving on, then they go back to that wonderful formula of the Tantive 4 and with this Imperial Light Cruiser hallway off Gideon's. Super cool. I think this one's actually really popular. It's obviously pretty current. It's still available now. If you're new to collecting and you just stumbled in here by chance, this is a great one to add to your collection and start it off. It's available pretty much almost everywhere online. Yeah, I love this set so much. They got back to
Me
the,
too.
that nice engineered door, all made of like, casted hard plastic, sliding
Yes.
door, actually
That's what we want to
moves.
see.
It's got that light panel right there with translucent plastic, so you can put some lights behind this and shine it through and
Yes.
actually get that Imperial hallway feel. So phenomenal. Another
I
thing,
desperately want them to make a Death Star, a genuine Death Star hallway version of this
yes,
with
I
those
agree.
light panels like that you have in your display, right? And they need to make some blast doors that, come together, in the diagonal. I'm not doing it right with my hands. The diagonal like doors that come together,
Yeah,
blast doors,
the
right?
blast doors.
Yes,
Yeah, I
dude.
think that was smart. Or even like the other Imperial door that you see like slam close when Luke and Leia are like shooting
Hmm.
across to the other stormtroopers, that type of door with the
Yeah,
little
they
light
could do,
panel that goes around.
yes, they could do two different. So this set kind of has that, right? It's got the big
Yep.
open doorway at the end, but it's also got the side door that's kind of small. So you could totally do that with like a Death Star one. On the other side of that, you could have that little lip that they stand on, where they do the
Yep.
swing to freedom, so to
Yep.
speak. They
Yep.
could totally do that if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm really surprised that they haven't yet, to be honest. I
Y-
I like this set. I really do, but I'm surprised that they chose to do this before, a generic Death Star hallways. But I guess it makes sense when you factor in that they put out the Luke, they put
Mhm.
out the
Yeah,
the
too.
Dark Troopers.
Yeah.
We have Mando, we have Bo-Katan, we have
We have a
what's
lot
the
from Mandalorian.
we
Axe
have we have
Woves,
a ton of stuff. Axe Woves. What's the female's name again?
Casca Reeves.
Casca Reeves.
Yeah,
And
we
then
can
this,
we can
yeah,
recreate a lot from this.
yeah, Cara Dune,
Mhm.
Fennec,
Fennec.
right?
Yep.
All those characters. Hey,
Oh,
buddy. Chewie
there's
saying
Chewie.
hi. Hey, buddy. Hi,
He likes this set too.
hi.
Something else I really love about this set, and I feel like so like I said with the Jabba
Cool.
throne room, they really started to pay attention, I think, to popularity of photography in 375 and TBC collecting. There are without a doubt a bunch of people on Instagram, Facebook, all over the place sharing photos, doing the thing, having fun with their collections. So with Jabba's, they took some nice promo photos. They really, invested to market that thing nicely. With this
Yes.
set, I feel like they are paying attention, and this is definitely got to be, Emily. She's watching. She knows what to see. She knows what's good. A lot of us who do toy photography are using like GTP space walls or 3D printed stuff, acrylic, black acrylic flooring to like
Yes.
recreate that vibes from Imperial
Yep.
hallways. And
I
that's
do that a
something that I
lot.
love they carried over here too with this. It's not acrylic, but it has the same exact type of shine. So you're
Yep.
getting that really cool reflection where you can see the character in the like floor as well. And I just love that, like, yeah, they brought all that attention to detail here. Because I don't even know if these Imperial light cruisers really had that kind of same like shiny floor. I
I'm
don't
trying to
think
think
so.
back to the scene. I'm not sure either, but
I
yeah,
don't think so, but
it's a very cool feature.
I'm fine with it here. I think it's phenomenal. So
Yes.
I think they're paying attention to like, and I think she even showed like how you can get like this incredible long perspective by connecting like, 5 or 6 of these sets. And yeah, they're really checking a lot of boxes in terms of like functionality with our collection.
Yes.
And I love that.
So cool.
Knowing that you can get like this nice like framing here with this figure.
I think that photographers are really undercredited for their
Mhm.
contributions to keeping this hobby alive. I think they
Absolutely.
are a absolutely massively important demographic. The amount of free advertising that they do for Hasbro, like, is unquantifiable.
Mhm.
I mean, there are hundreds, thousands of photographers that are taking pictures with their figures, their vehicles, their environmental pieces
Yep.
that are helping to sell this stuff, and it's
Yeah.
all just free marketing on social media for them.
Mhm.
I mean, eh, there's no doubt in my mind that these guys are helping to keep the line alive tremendously. Hold on.
Absolutely.
My dog is being silly. He's acting like he's stuck. Hold on. Go ahead, boy. Just go.
That's okay.
Come on. Come on. Go.
But
Go.
yeah, I absolutely agree, John. Bringing him on really helped. add some of that toy photography to their team and like
Sorry, yeah.
advertising.
My dog was being lazy
They
and
really need that. And
pretending he was locked in.
and to kind of like circle back to Steve did a live stream last weekend, and he was just talking about 375, the history of it, but also like the things that like highlight it as something that we really enjoy as collectors, and also spreading that word to people who are new collectors. And I think that's something that's really important here with the sharing of photography, the way they're advertising these sets too, and just making it create some nice mass appeal.
Yes.
Something he did also mention, like how you walk into a store and you could potentially see the larger version of a figure compared to the smaller one, and you think there's more value there. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that though, in terms of like the character
I
building
see a
or
higher price tag and I'm turned off.
that
Like I
too. That too.
I don't really get that argument, you know.
Neither
And
do I.
the other thing Steve was saying is like, if I want to build out a scene, I'll buy vintage collection. But if I want
Hmm.
a definitive version of a character or like a good looking character, then I'll buy 6 inch. And that was the argument for a long time. For many
Hmm.
years, 6 inch just beat the heck out of us
They did.
on
They did.
figures being better, looking better, just being better. Period.
Yeah.
We can admit that for a long time,
Our
TBS
Vaders were garbage
just
until we
kicked.
got this mold.
Yes, like they were just kicking our butts. Their likenesses were better. Their articulation was better. I hate to admit it, but they were just better. But now, not anymore, man. I mean, look at this Anakin. Like it's just as
Phenomenal.
good as a 6 inch figure. Like, what are you
Phenomenal.
talking about?
Yep.
Like the Thrawn, right?
Hmm.
Jeruis, and some of ours even come out this snow trooper, right? Like, what are you talking about? You got to buy the 6 inch version to have a good version of it. Like,
No.
what are you talking about? Like,
And you
have you
can
seen the
buy
figures lately? Like,
and
nonsense, nonsense.
you can buy
You
more of
know?
those snow troopers to have an actual platoon at a
Right,
better price and
right.
have the definitive display of a snow trooper battalion or squad.
Yeah. And it's a huge credit to Emily and the other engineers and designers like
Hmm.
Sarah, I can't remember her last name.
Yeah, she did them all.
Yeah,
I
she
think
did
Sarah Reynolds.
Mandalore Mall. Reynolds, yes,
Yep.
thank you. Thank you. Sarah Reynolds,
Hmm.
very talented. Um, she has designed a lot of stuff for a lot of different lines, but obviously we appreciate her contributions to TVC the most. But Y- I mean, the stuff that's coming, it's just as good, if not better, than their Black Series counterparts these days.
I
But
mean, we waited
I
a
don't
long
really
time for
get
this
the
Balin,
argument.
but he is
He came out better than
better.
his Black Series counterpart.
He's the proper
Uh,
height.
so did Bib Fortuna, so did
Yeah,
our Morgan Elsbeth, thanks
true.
to, the soft goods.
Hmm.
There's a lot of examples, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think the argument that 6 inch these days is just automatically better because it's 6 inches. That's an old, tired, and wrong argument at this point.
I agree.
It
That's
just doesn't fly anymore. Sorry.
yeah, that gap has shrunken.
Yep. And again, it's a huge credit to Emily and her team for closing that gap and even superseding the TBS figures sometimes.
Absolutely. But also not so much credit there to like what they're doing and offering, but they're offering stuff that we're actually really excited about. And
Mhm.
everybody in this chat, everybody in the community is supporting getting them because they like what you're giving us. They're giving us proper stuff.
2025 has people very excited.
Yes.
I think that the amount of just really top quality figures, the Snow Trooper, Luke, Anakin, Balin, Jeruis even, who is such a niche character, but has so many people like totally jazzed, you
Really good.
know? Like really,
Really
really.
good.
It's this year is such a radical departure from last year, where it was like last year I don't know. It was hard to struggle to pick. I think everyone was just immediately like Kanan. This is just obviously figure of the year, like no
Yeah,
competition. But this
yeah,
year, you've got all these
a little
contenders that
challenging.
are competing with each other.
Hmm.
It's going to be really hard to pick a figure of the year this year, and that's how it should be. It should be difficult to pick a
I agree.
favorite. Right?
Yeah, this year's looking phenomenal. Phenomenal. Then we have this, which you have now.
I just got it the other day. I was at Red 5 Toys with John Miko, and he bought this for me. Such a
Nice.
nice guy. Because I got him one of the Revenge of the Sith popcorn buckets and
Ooh,
cups for
nice.
the from the theater.
Nice.
So in payback, he bought me this. So thanks,
That's
man.
awesome.
I still gotta open it, but yeah.
I like this set. It's not as I don't know, mind-blowing as some of the other ones. It's also a lot smaller. There are, there's some noticeable complaints like the weathering. We're going back
Mhm.
to not any weathering. Now, I really think they're starting to not skimp on the weathering, but like practically think, okay, do we really have to weather this up that much? Because if you think about like stones or like a mountain, it's not going to be super grimy unless it's actually getting like rained on hard. But I do agree that there could have been a light dry brushing of something added to this. Didn't need to be like
Yeah.
super dirty, but a little something so it doesn't look like, just straight up plastic would be helpful.
I know. I think that it just comes down to the fact that they constantly say paint is expensive, paint is
Yep.
expensive, paint is
Yep.
expensive over and over and over again. They've said this, and
Absolutely.
people just kind of like aren't believing them for some reason. They're just not
Yeah.
really hearing that. It's going in one ear and out the other. Like paint is
It's
expensive.
expensive.
It's very expensive. Like
And it's not
I
just
don't
the
know how
paint
many times they
itself.
can say it, you know.
It's not the
Um,
paint itself either. You guys have to like think about they are having these so think about maybe 5,000 of these different units that they need to then put on a machine. They can't put all 5,000 on a machine at one time. Say they only have one machine, so they're putting it in batches of 10. And they are
right.
paying a dude a certain wage to run that machine, which is not just like
Yes.
digging a hole in the
Which
ground.
costs factory time, right?
Correct.
Yep.
So if they can save money to keep this at a price where we're not going to see this reveal and say, "Man, that's really annoying that that thing is $85." They will try
Right.
their best to do that.
Right.
Like keep the
So
price down.
absolutely, because it's like, would you rather have that paint and have it be exorbitantly expensive to where you balk at it and you're like, well, I'm not paying that much. I'll
Yeah,
wait for it to come down, right? We hear that all the time. Like, well,
for
I'm gonna
sure.
wait for clearance because this should cost $20. It cost $20 20 years ago. Why does it cost 50 now? Like, yeah, dude, inflation, like things,
It
it's
ain't 20 years
different
ago, bro.
now. Yeah, right, exactly. Like, it just kills me. But,
Yeah.
uh, but I'd kind of rather them. I don't want to sacrifice detail. I don't want to get things dumbed down, right? I
Mhm.
don't like that, and I'll never advocate for less. But at the same time, there's got to be a balance between,
Correct.
all right, you know, we're gonna weather the crap out of this and make it look great, but it's also gonna be so expensive to the point where no one
Mhm.
buys it at the price that it would have to be,
Yeah.
right?
And
So
I think
like
I
there's a
think they added
balancing
some nice
there.
value here. So like if you look at it and you're like, okay, well it's kind of bland, sure. But I do think the forge itself is a nice sculpt. I love that they thought about again using translucent plastic that you can put a light under that thing, shine it up, get some of that cool effect going on. And then they gave us this locker with like extra helmets. They didn't even have to do that.
Yeah,
They're
super
thinking
cool.
about, oh, that season had a lot of mix match armor. Maybe they want to make their own customs and kit bashes and like having the tools in there. Pretty cool. Like this is a nice interactive set. The only thing actually that did bother me a little bit about the tool chest is those top doors. I think when they close are supposed to have a mythosaur like spray painted skull on it, and it doesn't have that. I know it.
Mm,
I'm pretty sure it had it in like the first season when they were in the covert, and I imagine this is the same like locker, like tool chest that she had. So I think that would have been a cool little thing to add. But again, paint. But yeah, I think there's some good value here. They gave us a couple tools for her to like use. They did give us this figure back out there with the soft goods. That was nice to actually see. And we got another Grogu. Add him to the clone army of Grogus. He does have his pauldron. But yeah, there's some nice stuff going on here. It's a smaller set for sure.
Can you highlight Nicholas's comment?
Sure.
Yeah, and this is the tricky thing, right? It's like, okay,
Hmm.
when you tell us that something has to be deluxe because of paint, but then the offering is still missing paint apps, despite the fact that you charged us a deluxe price point.
Yeah.
That's when it's like, mm, okay, well, what's going on here, Hasbro? You know?
Hmm.
Like for example, the Sabine, the deluxe Sabine that comes with the Howler, right?
Yeah.
It's deluxe, right? Yeah. So
Yep.
the original Sabine was also deluxe, right?
She was.
And it comes with, her pistols being painted and whatnot. But on the new
Hmm.
release, the pistols aren't painted in blue and yellow or whatever it is.
And she
It's like,
technically comes with less accessories. I think she's like 2 accessories shy of the previous
yeah,
release.
and less plastic because the helmet's smaller. No, I'm just kidding. But
It's true.
but yeah, it's stuff like that where it's like it
It's a
makes
good
it
point.
difficult for me to defend Hasbro when they're inconsistent themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And not because I want to be some kind of corporate shill, but I do try to educate people on like why things cost what they cost because people are
Totally.
like, well, this should just cost $10 because that's what I want it to cost. And it's like, well, but it doesn't though. So, um, but at the same time, when Hasbro's like, well, it's got to cost $30 and also it's got to sacrifice paint apps. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, guys, help me out here.
It's it's a hard line to walk, and believe me, I hear it every day in my own like day-to-day job. Like things are challenging to price and get your clients or people to understand the pricing and why you're doing it. And at the same time, they are a business. Hasbro needs to pay people like their wage to actually design these things, market these things, build these things to continue this collecting journey that I would like to keep going on with all of you guys. And if we don't support it, sometimes it can backfire on us. And
Mhm.
same thing, I'm not trying to, shill out there for Hasbro and be like, yeah, we should accept all these deluxe prices. We should let them know, like, hey, I don't think you're giving us the most value in that set right there. Like the IG 12. Not great. I would have liked another Enzelin in there. He's missing some paint. Did he have to be on a deluxe card? Probably not. He wasn't on a deluxe bubble before.
Yeah,
There's also
yeah,
something, I don't remember what figure I was looking at because I've been kind of like packing some things up here and there. But I'm sure you've seen this before where they'll pack in a figure, put it in the bubble, but they'll also put another tray underneath the figure in the bubble with a bunch of accessories. And sometimes they talk about the bubble space, and I'm like, well, you could easily put that tray underneath that guy and have some accessories in there. So I don't know. Like,
yeah,
again, I'm not on their design team. I'm not on their engineering team. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, sometimes it's a little challenging to make sense of all this.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I
for
still think
sure.
this was kind of a nice set. It came out around the time that that season had ended, not too like close to it, but it's nice that they're finally getting us some of this season 3 stuff. So they gave us a place to like put these figures and like display them. So again, they're doing a good job of giving us the environment and the figures in a relatively small time frame to actually build out our collections.
Yep, yep.
Yeah,
And we've gotten so much from the Mandalorian that this provides a nice centerpiece for that whole sort of
totally,
clan or tribe,
totally.
because the armorer is kind of like the center of gravity for that whole tribe, right?
Cheers.
She's the Bo-Katan of the Death Watch guys.
Yep.
So to have that forge and just centerpiece for that display is pretty great. And I think
Yeah,
that's what it's meant to do,
I agree.
so
it's been a fun one to take photos of. And to be honest, I always kind of wanted a forge since season one. I thought it was a nice center point again to have
Yeah.
something where you just put random Mandalorians around. Even the
And
older
that's the
ones in
other
our
thing
collection.
is people like you who are really good with customizing backgrounds and perspective and lighting, and people will take like this
Yep.
and sprinkle it up and use it for like the canyon wall in the background, and it'll be
Yep.
unfocused so that you can't tell that it's literally paper.
Yeah.
Right, and you'll just kind of put it behind the forge, and it'll just look like the rock wall. And you guys, I mean, you guys are super super talented at that stuff.
Yeah. It's fun. It's
But
fun. Like,
you need that base display piece from
exactly.
Hasbro to start the scene, right? So
Totally. I need something to set that off. And if I
right,
don't have to build it myself or 3D print it or to get it from somewhere else, I appreciate that Hasbro. So
all the
yeah,
better.
I like them getting some of that stuff out there for us. And then we get to the most recent thing that we've seen, Streets of Mos Eisley, which I think this is a pretty exciting one for some people. This is like one of the oldest things I feel like that people have in terms of diorama builds made. Like you get some XPS foam, you cut it up, you put some spackle on it or grout or whatever, and you make your Tatooine type of
Yes.
setting. But not everybody has the time, not everyone has the skill, not everyone wants to dive into that world. So them
Yep.
actually making a set like this is actually really great and smart in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um
I've seen people make this sort of thing for even like 1/6 scale figures, like Hot
yeah,
Toys scale, 12-inch scale figures.
yeah,
People had made Tatooine walls. I mean, those walls must be like 2 feet tall or whatever, but I've seen people do it.
yeah.
So this was a good choice for an environmental piece for sure.
Hmm. I agree. I feel like I saw someone post something about this that it's similar, but I'm not sure if it's an exact match.
I think it can. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know that
Something
it doesn't match the Navarro Cantina. I can say that
it does
the
not.
colors are different.
It
Yeah.
does not, but it does actually connect together with the Navarro Cantina.
If you could paint it and to match if you wanted to, for sure.
Yeah. Run out to the hardware store and give them all the same coat. Get into that customizing. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty good one to get out there. Again, no weathering on it at all. I think that's been probably everyone's biggest complaint. But you know what? If they were to have weathered this and then give us a cardboard door, I think I would be a bit more annoyed.
Yeah,
So I feel like I'll take the proper door over no paint if I can. But
for
yeah,
sure.
definitely a cool one to get out there with the like return to Tatooine mini beat. You could still use this for other things, so it doesn't have to necessarily be a New Hope. You can always do some Phantom Menace stuff with that. But of course, it would have been nice if we ever got a proper young Anakin back for a certain celebration. But I digress.
Yep.
But yeah, another one that I think is really popular. I've been seeing a lot of people take photos of. So pretty cool to get that engagement out there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so that was the last one. And here is pretty much everything that we went over. So it's been 9 sets. Pretty nice to like take a look at them all together. If you had to rank the worst and your favorite best out of these, how are you going?
Well, like I said, I think the best ones that Hasbro well, okay. The very best one is obviously Jabba's throne room because
Oh, interesting.
it's the most. I mean, in terms of what you get, right?
Yeah,
But
true.
you also have to pay. You also have to pay more, right? But when you
This is
take that
true.
one out, and the rest of them are all kind of in the same price point, that $50 or $60 range. So it's not really fair, right? But in
Hmm.
terms of the ones in the $50 or $60 range, so to
Yeah.
speak, somewhere around there, I think Hasbro, like I said, does it best when it's an offering that incentivizes multiple purchases. And so I think
Hmm.
the real home runs there are the Tantive 4 and
Hmm.
the light cruiser hallways. Like
Yeah.
I want to see more in that vein. I want to see Echo
Hmm.
Base hallways. I want to see
Yeah.
Death Star hallways. I want to see
Yep.
Camino hallways. I want,
Yep.
stuff where I need to buy like 8 of them, and it comes with like an army builder that doesn't turn me off from
Yep.
buying 8 of them, right?
Yeah.
Like that's your money maker, Hasbro,
Hmm.
right? Like the
I agree.
bunker's great, the canteen is great, the forge is great. Do I need 8 of those? No, I only need one, maybe two, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, Hasbro can be smarter, and again, I'm not saying those things are bad. The bunker's
No.
great. The canteen is great.
Hmm.
The you know, Han Solo and Carbonite display, all great, all great. And also the Tatooine streets and the Jawa's kind of an army builder, so that's another good
Yeah.
one for incentivizing, especially
Yep.
because it's reconfigurable.
Hmm.
Multiple purchases.
I
So like
I think
that's
the Tantive and light cruiser hallway sets are obviously the best ones. They're also
yeah,
my top pick. I do like that the Mos Eisley Streets set is kind of like a hybrid of it, where it's like it's kind of an hallway, but also kind of like a centerpiece standalone thing because you can like kind of create like a giant world out of it too.
yes,
It's pretty cool. I also don't want them to get scared or stray away from doing like the single type of armorer's forge or just like the Endor bunker where it's kind of
no,
like a nice
no,
focal point. I think that would be cool. Like, for example, like some kind of separatist like backdrop, or even like the Naboo hangar where Dual Fate starts off.
yeah,
Something like that could
yeah,
be cool. I know they did it back in the day,
absolutely.
but an updated version like that with a
Or
new mall would probably be pretty
instead of
popular.
the hangar, I think the best spot to do would be the final scene where Qui-Gon dies
Yes,
and Maul gets cut in half.
that too. That
Do like that semicircle or
too.
like a full circle. I guess if you bought two, maybe you could make like a full circle
Hmm.
of the pit there.
Yeah, I was thinking the bay doors that open where then you first
Oh
see
yeah,
Maul,
yeah, yeah. That'd be
and they
good
kind of like
too.
battle in front of it for a second.
Yeah,
I think that would
people
be a
could do
kind
some
of
good
cool.
stuff with that. Yeah.
But yeah, um, what's your least favorite out of the bunch? It's kind of hard. Like they have negative points, but I'm also like, I don't know if I still can think that.
Probably the Bespin one because it's
Yeah,
missing the overhead claw that pulls
true,
the carbonite block out.
true. I've seen some like 3D prints of it. Crazy D Customs, I think he has one. But yeah, I think if I had to pick the worst one, I think it's probably that one.
Which
The
one is the
Navarro can
most toyetic? I would say the Cantina is the most toyetic. The Navarro Cantina because it comes with all those glasses. Again, aside
Mhm.
from Boba's throne room, which is in a whole nother league, right?
Yeah,
Um, if we take that one out and again just go in those like 50 and $60 ones, I think the sheer amount of accessories that it offers between the stools and the glasses and the bowls and all that stuff, like
yeah,
the bar scene pictures that I've seen using that thing and all those pieces are just so cool.
I agree,
People do
and
some awesome work with those.
I agree, and even with its flaws of its cardboard door and the cardboard, like, window, people still make that thing look cool. And I know
Yes.
other world builders like Utah Don love all those little accessories for his own, like,
Yeah.
bar and spaceport, and I've done the same, like, I put those
Another
things
good one
everywhere.
is Pinnacle Palace. I think he's done some great work
Mhm.
with those, bars. There's tons of people, but
Yeah,
just some ones that come to mind.
for sure.
Um,
But yeah, it's a toss up for me for worst one between the Navarro Cantina just because of the cardboard aspect and the Bespin set, but I do think the Bespin one's kind of challenging. Also, it's a little challenging because it's actually a very big display, and I feel like it's large, but also not giving you a ton at the same time, if that makes sense. Whereas
yeah,
Boba's throne room is like substantial in size, but you can put a lot in there and it's not like empty space where that
yeah,
Bespin set has all that empty space under it. You don't have like the finished like circular area going to the ground to like have all those
Yep.
mechanisms in it. It doesn't have the claw. Yeah,
It
it's
takes
just
up a
like
lot of real estate on your shelf.
it does, and I feel like you're not getting a ton of bang for your buck in terms of like that
I
collecting
agree.
display ability.
This is a case where I would have been willing to pay more to get more, but
Hmm.
instead they opted for less and bare bones. And I just,
Hmm.
in this particular case, I don't think bare bones really worked for this one. You
No,
know?
and to be fair, it one of the older ones. I feel like they were still
Yeah,
figuring it out.
yeah. They've
They've come
gotten
a long
more in
way.
their stride since then. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, look at yeah, yeah. From the Bespin or the Tantive set onward, like really good stuff here. Really great. Let's see what some other people were saying in terms of their favorites.
Hal Runner says bars aren't toyetic. Okay,
That's true.
fine. Yeah, John. I mean, like I said, the throne room is just in a league of its own, man, with the pillows and there's the pelt skins and the
Hmm.
God, it's
Yeah,
incredible.
the Throne Room set is definitely like it's a hard one to have in here because, like you said, it's not at that price point. It has a lot. Um, I don't know. Boba's Throne Room is also a bit of a backdrop itself. I mean, it's a kind of focal point of his palace. You're not getting the full palace here. You're having that one little area where his throne is that you can just throw in everyone. You can throw in Squidhead. You can throw in Boba. You can get all those denizens that we've had over the years and just have one backdrop of like Jabba's like goons and stuff like that. Whereas the other ones offer a little bit more sometimes, I think, in terms of like a different type of backdrop.
I feel like the running theme here is that people say that Canon 4 one is the best. If I had to
Yeah.
pick one again, aside from the throne room, that is the best example, I think it would be the 10 of one.
Yeah. This is really
Especially
great.
too, because it's double-sided. I
It
mean,
is.
brilliance of that.
Yes.
They didn't do that
Mm,
with the Moff Gideon one, and maybe they couldn't, but I'm just
interesting.
saying,
Yeah.
like, the dual-sided nature of it and the again, the reconfiguration of it, brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant.
That's a really good point. And,
I see people use that more than anything else, I think.
I do want to give a little shout out to Hole in the Grounds because he actually sent me this little Docking Bay 94 piece that you can actually put into this panel.
Oh my gosh.
So you
Wow.
can make yourself like a little Docking Bay 94 wall, which is pretty cool. He's always doing such incredible world building stuff, man. He's really
Wow.
a great supplier of goods to the 375 community. But let's see. But yeah. So I know this has kind of been floating around too for a little bit. The rumors of a potential Death Star, people want a Death Star. That to me could be one of the craziest, most epic displays of all time. And I feel like you're
Yes.
absolutely in agreement with that. Um, I would love them to take an approach to this thing with some of the considerations that they did. And that's if they're going to do it. It needs to be similar to what they did with the not
Cantina.
the cantina,
Yeah.
just because they knew that that thing's going to take up space. And if you
Yes.
thought that thing was going to take up space, a Death Star is going to be huge,
Enormous. Yeah.
enormous, and people might not have the space for that.
Hmm.
But if you make it in some type of configuration where, say, it all builds up together to make the sphere or whatever they're going to do, perhaps there's a section that you can just take out where it's a hallway and you can have that on display, have the rest of it boxed up and put in storage. They need to think
Yes.
about it like that because, like I said, it's going to be monumental and also just a beast.
Yeah. I agree. I think that it needs to be able to be broken up into pieces or scenes to stick in
Hmm.
different cubbies if people want, but I
Yes,
think that it also should be able to be assembled into this big thing, just like you said, to
correct.
where it's tall and it has like a big tall shaft, because one of the
Mhm.
key features of the Death Stars is those chasms, those
Yep.
OSHA unfriendly, no railing chasms, right? Like that's kind
Yeah.
of one of the things on the Death Star is like, watch your steps, you don't fall into the core like 3 miles down or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. See you, pals.
Um, bye bye. But you've got to have that sense of again the chasms, because you've got the scene where Palpatine gets thrown down, and you've got the scene where Luke and Leia swing across, and you've got the scene
Hmm.
where Ben Kenobi is he's stepping on that little platform and he's turning off the shield generator, right? Or the
Hmm.
tractor beam,
Tracking
excuse
beam.
me.
Yep.
Yeah, the tractor beam, yeah. You've got to have that sense of like, oh, if I don't watch my step, I'm falling to my death here, right? So it can't just be, a one story thing. It's
Yeah.
got to also have height if
Hmm.
you want it to.
Yeah.
Um, but if you make it into this enormous 3 or 4 foot tall thing that's all one big piece, people might struggle. Everyone's house is different. Everyone's
Correct.
collection room and display area. Now, I will say, I want a Death Star so bad that if they offered it only as that one big chunk, I'll freaking make space for it. I will
Get rid of your bed.
I will move whatever I have to move to make that thing fit in my display, and I don't care,
Who
right?
needs an oven?
There,
I'll get this
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I don't care. Just give me my darn Death Star. But there are some people who really want to be able to stick different. If they make the conference room, I'll stick the conference room here, and then I'll stick the trash compactor scene over here. Or what,
Hmm.
people want
Yeah.
to do things different ways. So they've got to, I agree, the cantina was really well done with that sense of modular,
Hmm.
the courtesy for space was
Yeah.
really brilliant. Very, very
Yeah.
smart. And I think if they can do that with the Death Star, they've got a winning formula for sure.
I agree. What do you think about Radis Force Dad's comment here of putting it in like
Uh,
drops, kind of like a build up
no,
battle station?
no. I'll tell you why that doesn't work. I've seen this proposed many times, is that what they need to do instead of doing a HasLab is they need to do each room as a separate release. The problem with this is that each room is going to cost like 100, 150, $200, whatever, just depending on the
Yeah.
size of the room. Like we said, the Emperor's throne room is a pretty big room, right? So like
Yeah.
the issue with that is that Hasbro is not going to commit to releasing 7 different $150 rooms over the
Yeah.
course of 3 years or 4 years or 5 years or however long it's going to take
I
to
mean, look how long
finish
it took
all
to
the
get these.
like they're not going to commit to that. They're not going to do it. And I don't trust them to commit to that, quite
Yeah.
frankly. I don't
Yeah.
trust them. So if they're going to do the Death Star and all of the prominent scenes from both Death Stars and both movies, they've got to knock it out in one fell swoop. Just knock it out, one and done, get it done and make everybody happy. Um and I think that one thing they should figure out how to do, and I don't know if this is even possible due to crowdfunding laws, but if there was a way that they could set up a payment plan to do like a
Hmm.
like sideshow with their flex monthly payments, so that you break it down into more manageable payments for several months or whatever, if they could do
Yeah.
that, that would be perfect, instead of making people spend, $1,000 or $1,200 or
Straight
however
up.
much, like that's painful for a lot of people. So if they could
It is.
figure out a way to finance this thing,
Hmm.
do it.
I'm curious if that would like affect future HasLabs going forward, where people would demand that for all HasLabs, even if it wasn't like a
Yeah,
super big ticket item, because that is something that like people have said, like, hey, I wish you had some. That's a lot of ask for me for like a $400, $500 ship, and some people want to get two because you got to get the carded pack in figure or whatever's happening with it.
right.
Um, But I don't know. It could be something that happens. They always say it's constantly evolving. So I don't know. I think for something as grand as a Death Star, I think payment plans could be helpful for some people.
Just a heads up, real quick, buddy. My computer's telling me it's gonna update in 13 minutes, and I can't
Oh,
make it not do that.
that's
I'm
fine.
trying, and it's not listening to me. So
That's
I've
that's
got
totally
13
fine.
minutes.
That's fine. We're actually
But
we've been going 2 hours, and we're pretty much at the end of the stream. But that was going to be the closing thing that we were talking about.
okay. Well, we do
So
have a
we're good.
few minutes if anybody's got any questions or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, yeah, let's see. Why would a trash
Interesting.
compactor be $150? One big price point is a percent. Because if you factor in the room and then you also factor in all of the debris, guts, all those little poles and pieces of scrap metal that they're, pushing around inside of that place, all those little pieces have to be tooled up,
Yeah.
right? That's money, man. Look at the Jabba's throne room with all those little dishes and cups and, all that stuff, right? All
Hmm.
of that is tooling money. That's why that costs as much as it does. So when you
And
think about,
some of that set
w-
was a little reuse. So like some of the shot glasses, like they were thinking smart, where they're like, okay, we could take some of the stuff from the Navarre Cantina, throw in the Jabba's Palace, but there were a lot of individually unique pieces too that they had to like tool up.
AFC Smoke says, I use a firm and it lets me finance the projects. It
Huh.
lets you finance Hasla projects? Tell us more about that. Type
Interesting.
away and tell us more about that because I'm intrigued. I feel like I found a way to finance all of my HasLab purchases through Pulse. Interesting.
Get us at Luthen.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that, dude. I'm wondering though, if you like miss making a payment on time, you probably get slammed with like a 30% interest rate or something ridiculous.
Yeah, that Death Star could
There's
get pretty
probably some
expensive.
there's probably some fine print there somewhere.
They'd be like, we're running out of space real quick in here.
Uh,
That's true too. They could make like
Third
one.
party financing. Yeah, that's what people are talking about.
They could barely make like a tool set that does like all that little stuff in one
Well,
go.
if Hasbro offers the Death Star and doesn't offer a way to finance it through Pulse, we as a community need to get better about telling our fellow collectors how they can finance things through third party. And
Hmm.
that will help us get more backers. But you've got to spread that kind of thing to your neighbors in the community. Like you gotta help spread the word about that kind of thing. Because if people don't know, they're just gonna say, "Well, I can't afford $1,000. Like I'm out. This is way
Yeah,
too. This is for the rich people, not for me." Right? Like
it's a big
these are the
ask
comments you hear. Right? So like you help your fellow man out, man. Be a brother. Spread the word. Get
for
the
sure.
yep.
For
Yep,
sure.
back it early and stash money away. What do we always say at SWTVC? Start saving now, right?
Start saving.
Start saving now. It's a good practice for life in general.
Indeed. Indeed. What's the likelihood that TBS starts to pull back on budget and we get full throttle into proper TVC budget? Steve Evans says much great things on the horizon for TVC.
It depends on how the lines are selling,
Hmm.
right? I personally think, and this is just my personal opinion, that prior to the tariffs hitting, Black Series was already hitting a price ceiling on what
Yeah.
people were willing to pay.
Yep.
Now, if you're starting to tell people that basic figures are approaching $30 and deluxes are approaching $40 or whatever it is, like, I think people are just gonna stop or they're gonna buy drastically less.
Ain't no army
Or
building there.
alternatively, no, absolutely not. Or alternatively, as TVC's quality has met Black Series, right?
Hmm.
In terms of articulation, likenesses, all that stuff, right? Since TVC in terms of the new figures anyway, not the crap repacks with swivel hips that we sometimes get. But the new stuff, the real quality stuff that's pretty much just as good as the Black Series figure, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to start being more and more attractive to people. As Black
Agreed.
Series gets increasingly expensive and people balk at the price tag, they're gonna go, oh, well, TVC is only what I used to pay for Black Series. TVC is
Mm-hmm.
$20 or TVC is 25, whatever it is like. And those figures are pretty darn good. So suddenly
Same.
TVC becomes much more attractive to a
I
lot of
agree.
people.
I agree.
And I think this is just my opinion, but I think, and I know I'm going to sound biased here, but I think TVC is positioned to weather this storm of tariffs better than Black Series is
Mm-hmm.
for that reason. Because Black Series is just going to get super expensive. It already takes up a lot of space. And I think that TVC really has the die-hard collectors that are just going to stomach that price and keep on buying because they refuse to buy anything else.
Yep.
They will not become 6-inch collectors. They just absolutely refuse. And I'm one of those people. Not
Mm-hmm.
interested.
Same.
So the diehards are going to double down and eat it. I mean, some of the TVC collectors will be like, I'm out. You know, I can't pay $20 or more than $20 for
Yeah.
3.75. I get it.
And
We're
now,
gonna we're gonna lose some people too. I just think TVC
yeah,
will lose less people than Black Series will. That
yeah,
is my hypothesis.
it
What's
really,
gonna
yeah, it
happen?
really depends. It's kind of hard to see, as Yoda said, difficult to see. Always the motion that future is. But circling back to this in terms of like our budget getting bigger, Riley Bob, I will also say that every sale that we actually make as like a TBC community strengthens our line. And if
Yes.
you just take a look at like look at this. Look at where we were and where we are. Like that is in my opinion some vast improvement in terms of
You
like
can
how
you can see the progress between
yes.
the world building items that you show here. Also, now we're getting beasts like the
Mhm.
Blurg and the Howler,
Mhm.
right? These are like, small vehicles like the speeder bikes, right? These
Mhm.
are expansions and more expressions being put. I know everybody hates the word expressions. I'm just using their terminology, okay?
Yeah.
Um, we're seeing an expansion of different offering types. That means the line is becoming increasingly healthy. That's a good
Yeah.
thing. We're seeing a more well-rounded heritage scale because it's supposed to be those things, right? It's supposed to be the
Correct.
figures, but also the vehicles and also the
Mhm.
beasts and also the environmental pieces, right? That's it's the whole package, right?
Yep.
So you got to have
And some
all those things to have a
And
healthy
something else
line.
to point out is like, look at the improvements that we've made here. And also keep in mind that we as a community have backed several HasLabs. We are time and time again proving that we are collectors who are passionate about this line, passionate about this scale, passionate about Star Wars, and also willing to put our money where our mouth is. And Hasbro cannot deny this. Like whoever the suits are there, you have to be paying attention to this. And with every victory that we gain, there's definitely been increase in like quality here. The figures we're getting, the
Yeah.
lineup. Like I a couple months ago was watching just like random YouTubes, and I was watching one of the fan streams they did during the Razor Quest, and I was just like, wow, this was the energy because they were surprised. I think they were really taken by surprise with the Razor Crest. And you just look at the quality of one of those fan streams, the reveals that they showed. They're trying to like quickly figure out what kind of tiers they're going to do for this thing and compare it to some of the stuff we see now in our fan streams. And you're like, wow, that is night and day compared to
Yeah.
where this line was.
Yeah.
There has been substantial improvement. And while I agree, there's annoying things like prices go up. We see a couple paint apps being skimped on here and there. You know, maybe we're getting a swivel hip repack here that's stupid. Maybe last year wasn't great. Overall, this line has done some impressive stuff. And I'm grateful that we are where we are.
Can you highlight Hal Runner's comment real quick?
Yeah. Which this
Oh, I agree with this. And it goes back to you can't
one?
world build without the people, or else you just have empty streets and empty dioramas, right?
Yeah.
The problem, though, is that the world building items are what really make the profit margins
Hmm.
for Hasbro, and that's actually what really keeps the line alive. The
Hmm.
figures have always been what's called loss leaders, right? Ever since the very beginning, they didn't make money on the figures. They made money on the vehicles. They made money on the environmental pieces, right? The big stuff,
Correct.
the big chunks of plastic. It's
Correct.
always been like that. It's always gonna be like that, right? So when you sacrifice the world building stuff for more figures, unfortunately, there's a balance to be struck there in terms of when it starts to become counterproductive to the health of the line.
Indeed.
And
And
it's frustrating because we all want to get more newly tooled figures. I get it,
mhm.
but
And something else to hark back to Steve's stream the other day, he was even talking about the labor cost in terms of like the scales. And it's not about the material. He even specifically said it's about putting things together because
yep,
it's about the same amount of points of articulation that somebody in a factory has to pop together. And then
yep,
they're going to sell this one for a lower price, but it cost about the same to make as a
right,
Black Series figure.
right.
Whereas,
But the difference is that Black Series can't offer the vehicles. They don't sell.
correct.
They're too big. They're too costly. They take up too much space, right?
Hmm.
So that's where the strength of our line comes in. Is like, yes, we sell less figures, and the figures themselves are less profitable, but we make up for it with those world building items that pull in the real cash, right? So
Although
that's where
I will
that
say,
balance is.
I will say there's some maniacs like you and a bunch of people in the community who will buy like 100+ stormtroopers. So that there's going to be some weird
That's
balancing
true.
going on there.
The proof is right there.
I mean,
Right, right down there.
even with some a character like Saul from the Acolyte, who maybe not everybody likes the Acolyte, I thought that figure was phenomenal, and I have seen so many people already build that figure for customs of High
Yeah.
Republic Jedi.
I didn't see that figure being like, I
That
didn't
popular.
project it in my head that that
Mhm.
figure was going to be army bot to that uh level
Yeah,
for the customization purposes, but I do see a lot of people doing that. Yeah.
and
I
it's
bet it
cool.
shocks Hasbro too. They're
Well,
like,
it's
wow,
also
these Yord and Soul figures are really selling a lot. Yeah, but
heck
it's
yeah.
not because people are necessarily in love with Yord and Soul. It's because people want to make a bunch of custom Jedis out of it.
That also just
So
goes back to being like, look how important Jedi tooling is too. Jedi
yeah,
figures sell.
I think those selling well is going to help justify getting like the Stranger and maybe Jackie in the
Yeah.
line.
Yep. Which would be cool.
Um,
Just like finish it off and we'll be good. Because they did a pretty decent job of getting us the majority of those figures, surprisingly. But yeah, let's see.
my computer's about to turn off here in
All good.
15
We can.
seconds. It just means I won't be able to read comments anymore, really. But
So you'll still be on.
because I'm streaming on my phone.
Oh, got you, got you, got you.
Yeah.
Cool. It's all good. Come to a pretty good point in terms of like finishing and wrapping up. Yeah, man. Always appreciate having you on. You've always been very supportive of me in the community. Just being a very welcoming figure. You guys and SWTVC obviously do a ton of work for this community. Can't thank you guys enough, and honored to have you on my first live stream and saying bye to this room and just I don't know sharing our
I didn't
joy of
realize this was your first live stream, but this was fun.
the first live
It was
stream that
really
I've
fun.
done on the channel. I've done a couple with you guys, but
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
Wow,
this is the
that's
first one.
awesome. Cool,
Yeah, man.
man.
I figured, yeah, I might as well have Tyler on as first guest.
I appreciate that very much. And your display is so fun and so colorful and vibrant. It really pops.
Thanks,
I
thanks,
always
man.
I always love your collection. I can't wait to see what you do with the new room.
Oh man,
Um,
it's gonna be
I
a
know it's going
long.
to take a long time to get that. Oh God, you must be dreading taking everything down and putting it back up. But there is a certain amount of fun in getting the opportunity to reconfigure your collection differently, maybe, right? So
There is. I'm
there's
hyped
there's a
for it.
little bit of fun in that.
I'm hyped for
It's a
it.
it's a daunting task, but that's part of the hobby, right? Is
Yeah.
is putting things up and
I think the worst part is just like,
I want to do it differently this time.
not having like all the time in the world to be like, all right, I'm gonna get this done today. I gotta like
Ugh,
plan this out, like life.
I know, man. Now that I don't have any telework anymore. I used to have some time in between emails to just kind of do stuff around the house, and now I'm just
Hmm.
in the office, and there's a lot of dead time at the office where I'm like, wow, I could really be doing something right now. I know
Like
that
I'm
sounds horrible, but it's true. It's true.
gonna go down the
But
street for a coffee, guys. Be right back.
yeah, really, there's a lot of that, but we're so much more productive back at the office, right?
Yeah, for sure. I find myself
Sure, yeah,
being lazier. But yeah, I also want to thank everybody who came and hang out for us. Like we had 63 people in here. Like that's pretty impressive. I honestly didn't know if I would have more than like 5 people in here. So I got to say thank you to every single person in here. You guys are awesome. I love
yeah.
sharing. I love
We have a
sharing this
great
hobby
crowd
with
in
you
here.
guys. Love sharing like just the creativity and the passion that we all have for this type of hobby and just Star Wars in general.
Good conversation and good comments, from the community
For sure.
in this stream.
For sure.
And I just want to say, like, to all you guys who do toy photography and show the strength of this stuff, and Steve even said it in his, again, going back to his stream the other day, like he was really encouraging people to continue to show the strengths of this
Hmm.
scale, why it's special, um, what makes it attractive, like
Yep.
keep taking pictures, keep spreading the good word about this scale and trying to attract more people. We are the advertisement army, right? So
For sure.
that's how we spread, that's how we grow, that's how the budget grows, that's how we get more.
For sure. It's
Um,
easy to get like, annoyed, pissed off. Like there's a lot of things when it comes to collecting that are challenging, the May the 4th stuff, like price increases. But we're still able to take these things and find some joy and like share them with each other. And that's what keeps us alive.
yes, yes.
So yeah, man.
Keep
But
375 alive, man.
for sure, man. And where can people find you, Tyler, online?
People can find me at SW Collector 3.75 or on at SWTVC on
For sure.
Instagram.
Definitely go
Uh,
follow them on Instagram, YouTube.
yeah, we also have a YouTube channel. Again, we're not as active on it as you are here, with your weekly or daily toy reviews. But like I said, we do try to put stuff up here for people's convenience because this is their platform of choice for listening to stuff. If it's not, uh, Apple
Podcast,
podcast. Yeah, thank you. I'm
Spotify, and
I'm
all that
fried,
stuff.
dude. At
No, it's all good.
Spotify, yeah. But anyway, yeah,
But yeah,
it's true.
definitely for some reason anybody here is not familiar with them, go check out. They have a lot of different podcast episodes, informative stuff, good times. John has some good impressions. Poggle the Lesser. Need more of that from him.
Oh my God, it's such a
Whole
classic.
episode.
I can do a pretty good toy variant, I think, huh?
Only
Sometimes.
money.
Only money. But
Heck yeah, man.
anyway,
Appreciate it.
we have fun. So
For sure. Well,
thanks for having me
thank
on, man. This was fun.
totally. And thanks everyone. Hope you had a good time hanging out with us. Definitely don't forget to smash a like on this stream, help it out, support the channel and our guests, and more importantly, keep 375 alive and may the force be with you.
Have a
Thanks,
good night,
guys.
guys. Thanks for tuning in.